Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the Astropub, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the office hours. I am running a little late. Hopefully everything is good. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub, just space bar at the end of the universe. Welcome to the office hours. This is a live stream that I do on Thursdays, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live. Would love to have you join us live if you're watching this after the fact. But this is a live stream, so it is live recorded, and I will be doing a capsule. Pub capsules, everybody. Prove it's live. Well, I can't, because if I was pre-recorded, I would have used my omniscience to know that you would ask me to prove it's live, and then I would have just done so anyways. Besides, Baston, you are in fact a robot who I programmed to make it look like I actually have viewers. Same with like all of you, all of chat, or every single chat member is a clanker, so that's obviously the case. How you doing, Anthethol? So YouTube chat, I apologize. I keep forgetting I didn't set up this problem. Today's was the first day back to work. So my brain is scrambled because unfortunately they didn't have AC working and it was 104. Yes, Antithol, you are. How you doing, Thorn? You don't feel like a robot? Well, that's what skin jobs are supposed to be. Kids aren't back yet. The kids won't come back to school for another week. So, not next week, but the Monday after next, which is August 18th. No, yeah, August 18th is when they come back. But we had our first back to school stuff, you know, talking with the whole staff, talking with our departments, that kind of thing. Had a little time to set up my room, but not much. But they, you know, air conditioning was out for half the school, and it's 104, so my brain's a little scrambled because of that. Basically, I got home, looked at my wife, and was like, I haven't had like a Slurpee or a slushie in like a year, and right now I want that. And my wife's like, let's go get that then. So I went to Burger King, and because they have frozen beverages like that here, so I went to grab that and came back here, which I think I earned because my breakfast consisted of like a tiny sliver of a free Chick-fil-A chicken breakfast sandwich. Lunch was a hot dog and a cookie. And I had been walking around all day. That's my step count. Oh, my step count is 11,000 steps, and my active minutes is 100. And I have 130 active minutes. I walked 5 miles today and burned 4,500 calories. Yeah, I can, but that requires me working, Dell. And I didn't have time. I got home at like 5:30. But we're gonna do something fun today. This is something I normally do for the Astro Historian. For those of you who don't know, I also do a series called The Astro Historian. It's youtube.com/The Astro Historian. But I am doing something that I'm gonna need some of your help on, chat. In the next couple of weeks, as 4.3 is going through its testing phase, if it's not live by the end of this week, then I would like for next Monday to put together maybe, and I'll talk with the lore officers of this, get a core cadre of lore officers to come with me on Monday evening to Onyx and do an investigation, because I have top men who have been able to get me the audio files for both Stormbreaker and Onyx, which I'm going to be using for a video on the infamous Dr. Jorrit. So you can think of this as a lore expedition that is also technically an active, like archaeological expedition, because we're going to be drudging through sites where Dr. Jorrit has been known to operate to get the story of what he is and what he's doing. Because, chat, I'm gonna be honest, y'all aren't ready. Dr. Jorrit is Dr. Frankenstein. He is making monsters. So we're going to look at Dr. Jorritt's audio files that we have. We're going to read through the ASD lore, because they did release an entire, well, I didn't realize this, but they did release a Jump Point magazine article on ASD, the whole history of it. So we'll read through that. We'll go through what we know about Dr. Jorrit. We're going to read through, listen to the audio files. And maybe listen to a couple of the audio files from the Onyx facility. So. How you doing, 4-4? Crystal and Monstras Stratus. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do the monthly report, and that's going to be our capsule. But before we do any of that,
you can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Shinobi Trip _ just resubscribed for 30 months. Have you seen the Kruger L21 Wolf?
yes, I
Looks
have.
sexy enough.
Does look sexy. The wolf is nice. I'm glad it's called Wolf. The problem is it shouldn't be called Wolf. It's Kruger. It shouldn't be called WOLF. It should be VOLF. It should be the what was it? The Kruger L21 Wolf. Come on, CIG, give me the German. He finally lives. Hey, name, how you doing? Like I said, I saw Fantastic Four First Steps, and I'm like, I need, Kruger to start making larger ships. They give me a large ship from Kruger. The Anglophilia continues. Well, I mean, the original lore behind Kruger was they wanted the name, instead of Tiger Strike, it was called Tiger Schreck, which doesn't mean Tiger Strike in German. They just sort of like made that up. And so instead of like fixing the name and actually calling it what Germans would call Tiger Strike in German, they just called it a Tiger Strike. But it's like, it's Kruger. Come on. Lean into that. Happy Thursday, everyone. Just the perfect time. Just got done with the gym. Nice. It's not appropriately German unless it's 40 letters long. It's funny. For some reason, my shorts feed ended up with this German VTuber who was listened to like how different things are named in English, what they're called, the different, you know, like what a computer is in English and French and German or French and Spanish and Italian and then German. And the German is the most literal translation you could give it. And she is raging out. It's like, nobody calls that in German. Tiger Schlag? Is that what Tiger Strike would be? I love slushies so much. I got a slushie machine. Oh yeah, there's the like a creamy or something like that. Yeah. Schmetterling. I'm gonna let Google Translate tell me, because we got Germans in the chat, so you gotta speak up, Germans. Otherwise, I'm gonna butcher your language. Yeah, it's Tiger. According to Google Translate, it's Tiger Schlag. Okay, but Germans, I want something sexier. What would be something that is akin to like strike or attack, or something that's like an attack, but make it very angry sounding, like the most. Something you'd want to scream in a metal sound, in a metal song. Because like Tiger Schlag isn't really much of a metal, you know, it's not something you could scream and be like, yes, violence. What is Schmetterling? Sir, this is a Whammers. It's just butterfly. Oh, I'm going to pull that up right now, Del. Thank God, we actually have a data mine so we can use it instead of having CIG. If you could send it to me. Let's put it in the general. All right, chat, here you go. For SSN TV. We got a, hold on, let me do the. Okay, here you go. All right, there you go. Got a nice little stinger there. Oh, they actually have their own stinger, which is nice. Perfect. Turn down a little bit. There you go, chat.
This is James Harriman with another SSN Newsflash. Allegations have been raised against famed weapon manufacturer Associated Science and Development after evidence surfaced regarding a research facility that was experimenting on irradiated Valakar young under the direction of Dr. Logan Jorrit. Now, while not technically illegal due to the lab's location in Pyro, animal rights groups have lobbied for an investigation to be launched into ASD's research practices in all of their facilities to make sure they're operating within accepted parameters. A company representative claims that they will cooperate with any investigation, but stressed that Addison's Second Life initiative provides a very wide umbrella for current scientific endeavors, especially ones regarding the regen crisis. We're out of time. We'll see you on the next Newsflash.
This is literally perfect. This is perfect. I can use this for the video I'm doing on Jorrit. It's perfect. All right. So this is literally in 4.3. This is in the news flash. It's in the video. It's in the CIG should start posting these on their fucking social media. Galactica. Nico. Trying to think of all the people. Ulf. Tyler. Freaking post that. Post that on social media. People would yum that shit up. The 4.2 SSN was also about ASD, but I haven't found the data mine. Okay. That's actually perfect because it talks about Jorrit, which is, you know, what I'm talking about. All right. So I'm going to pull these up. Let me pull up the... Yeah, so because of work and stuff like that, I had to slow down a little bit on the video, but the video should still be out this weekend for Hurston Dynamics. I finished writing the episode. It is 58, with everything done, minimum, it's 58 minutes long. Probably more like over an hour. So it's a video that covers every single bit of Hurston lore, from its creation to today. Everything I could find. Everything. And I've connected some of the dots together, and whoo, I love me some Hurston lore. It is so fucking awful, but in such a good way. I was going to say that. Hold on. This is from the latest jump point. Now, this is the sort of thing that literally no other streamer would probably, I guarantee you, there would be no other streamer who would go through this level of stuff, because, you know, no other streamer is as stupid as I am. So let's pull this open, shall we? So, before we get to know Dr. Jorrit, we have to know who he works for. Associated Science and Development. So we're going to read through ASD's full history, live here on Twitch and YouTube, and then we're going to go through some of the audio files that have been data mined for some of the different places. So a 10 to 5 minute clips of just to keep the kiddies from falling asleep. I mean, most of like that video itself is only it's like a minute long. And it's perfect to post on social media, because if you can post that stuff on social media, that's what Helldivers does regularly. And they get a lot of attention through that. All right. The story of Associated Science Development, ASD, is an unconventional one. Formed in 2872, the company itself found meager success as a contract fabricator for mid-grade industrial parts that few had ever heard of. Their story truly begins at their reinvention. So to give you an idea, the 2872 puts them at well after the Meser era revolution. We're kind of towards the later stages of the new UEE. The revolutionary government has been fully established. To the new UEE, you're looking at around this time period is when, what is it called? Caliban falls, I believe. Fall of Caliban. Yeah, so this is about 10 years before the fall of Caliban, which happens in 2884. This is after the discovery of the Stanton system, after the formation of like all of the planets had been sold, and like I'm doing a bunch of documentary on the Hurstons. So this is around the time period when Victor Hurston turns to the brothers who formed Asperia. He turns to Asperia and asks them to fix his glaive that he had. We don't know how Victor Hurston got a fucking fully intact glaive, but he got it. So he turned to the Asperia company to help them fix it up. I think the same year. This is around the time that Lorville was beginning to be built. Central Towers are beginning to be built. Maria Hurston dies a couple of years after this time period. So just giving you that kind of that context. We're kind of in the modern UEE, but this is about little under 80 years before our current time period. So within the living memory of a lot of the UE. Oh, sorry, I thought you said the Hurston video was 58 minutes. It is 58 minutes. Oh yeah, no, I'm not breaking it up into 10-minute videos. I was talking about the SSN news alerts. All right. As a college dropout with limited formal training or education, that's a great start. It seems surprising that Herbert Lubinsky would transform ASD from a stagnating parts manufacturer to a cutting-edge research and manufacturer with locations across multiple star systems. Under his guidance, the company has weathered storms of scandal to create the high-grade energy weapons and produce cutting-edge biomedical research. Herbert Lubinsky, or Herb as he prefers to be called, has always had a love of science. Cultivated by his aunt, Simsy Lubinsky, a material scientist who worked at Microtech. So the boys of Microtech. Hey, there's the shitty side of Microtech. People have been wondering, what's the bad side of Microtech? ASD. Literal Frankenstein shit. He was fascinated by the transformative effect of science and the speed at which humanity would catapult forward after a recent innovation. Setting his sights on becoming a scientist himself in 2891, he enrolled in a mechanical engineering program at Australian University. Don't know where that is. Okay. Eager to fully immerse himself in the knowledge and learning, he began to discover that he was slipping behind many of his classmates. Herb realized that although his ideas and innovations weren't bad, they were something that far worse, average. While he saw flashes of brilliance in his peers, he never found it himself. Refusing to coast along with his average grades for the sole benefit of a degree, he dropped out, claiming he respected science too much to represent himself behind a piece of paper. Down but not out. Despite this setback, Herb looked for other ways to continue pursuing his passion for science. After dozens of applications, he finally managed to talk his way into an entry-level administrator role at Associated Science and Development. When Herb was hired, the company was staying afloat but were struggling to maintain a steady client base while competing with the other titans of the industry who could easily outspend them on innovation. Apathy was rife within the company, with many employees looking to jump ship or ride out the gradual decline the company was experiencing. But not everyone. Seconded to prove administrative support to the research and development department in lieu of an absent employee, Herb met Shun Moriyama, a former graduate at the University of Retter. Shun was developing a synthetic graphene alongside a highly conductive polymer nanotube that, if done correctly, could create a more efficient supercapacitor. Herb didn't understand the science behind it, but he understood the potential applications. What stood out most of all to Herb was the passion that consumed Shun when he spoke about it. Shun, in turn, was drawn to Herb's natural charisma. Herb became determined to make Shun's vision a reality. Although the, quote, creative reallocation, unquote, of ASD's limited research budget, creative allocation of ASD's limited research budgets, Herb scraped together enough funding for Shun's project. It was a grueling year, one that carried great risk, not just for them, but for the company as a whole. By the end of it, they produced a supercapacitor that would increase the efficiency of energy weapons by over 40%, significantly increasing output efficiency, and the life expectancy of equipment. From mining companies to the UE military, there wasn't a single industry that wouldn't benefit from this hardware. As the supercapacitor's astronomical sales numbers came in, the company's share prices soared and ASD was on the map. By 2895, Herb was promoted to CEO, and ASD experienced a golden era of production, riding on the successes of Shun's invention and Herb's leadership. Shun celebrated his success quietly and would retire a few years later to teach at his alma mater. Firstly, Herb basked in the acclaim that had come with the success and gave talks on how to be a disruptive force in the industry and the importance of risk-taking in the face of innovation. Man, why does Herb sound like a fucking tech bro? Somebody who has a passable understanding of the science, but is not very smart and is just really good at business. This guy's aunt was an employee at Microtech. His aunt or his mother? His aunt. How did Hurston get a glaive? I'm sure the Banu was involved. I don't doubt it. With revenue at an all-time high, Herb knew that the government and especially military contracts were a surefire way to financial stability for the company. So he created a weapons lab to manufacture energy weapons, uniquely able to take advantage of the ultra-efficient supercapacitors. Expensive but effective, the ASD distortion cannons were a hit and brought the company into another record-breaking year. But Herb was determined to push the company further. The company announced a new weapon unlike any previously made, the EE6 electron cannon. Combining the work of several ongoing ASD research projects, Herb pushed his scientists to craft a weapon that would catapult the industry forward, capable of polarizing electrical charges at an atomic level. The weapon was not only a feat of destructive power, but scientific innovation. The first public demonstration of the EE6 in a live fire environment took place in 2921. While the weapon was already proven successful in internal testing, Herb was eager to show off its effectiveness in real-world conditions. Bypassing several industry-standard testing protocols, the cannon was attached to a security ship that would use the weapon during their patrol. Several camera drones followed along the broadcast to broadcast everything to a gathered crowd. During their second sweep of the sector, the patrol ship engaged with an outlaw vessel, attacking a hauler. As the weapon fired its first shot, the electron cannon punched clean through the target, leaving nothing in its wake, and continued on to severely damage the civilian hauling ship. The crowd gawked in stunned silence as the two ships exploded via the live feed. So the original story was it exploded. This isn't it exploded. This thing was so powerful, it punched through one ship and through another and ended up killing both. So the test was a critical success. It failed critically. It was a success, but failed critically. A weapon to surpass Metal Gear, yeah. Later, an internal and independent investigation concluded that the malfunction had caused the cannon to fire a massive overcharge of energy, while the material of the outlaw's ship hull simultaneously acted as an amplifying conduit. The end result was not only the destruction of the ship, but the crew of both ships were completely burned to ash. I don't see this as a problem. Why is this? Yes, it's an accident. Yes, it is way too powerful of a weapon to have used, but like, this is a great fucking weapon. It's a weapon that hits your hull and incinerates you from the inside. That sounds like a weapon of mass destruction. That's a fucking, like, sell that shit to the military. After such a gruesome spectacle, the public demanded that ASD be held accountable for the loss of life. People wanted answers, but the company remained strangely silent about the incident, further tarnishing the reputation in the court of public opinion. Behind the scenes, the military had signed an agreement. Behind the scenes, the military signed an agreement to invest in the development of the EE-7 electron cannon, as well as several other endeavors that remain classified, securing ASD's future. Okay, so I wasn't wrong. The military was watching this and went, I see this as an absolute win. No, but it's at the end, Drakon, you're good. We're doing an investigation into Jorrit, so. What many still consider a highly controversial decision, Herb Lubunsky declared that he would not be stepping down as CEO. He acknowledged that mistakes had been made and that those within the company responsible would be held accountable, but this was the risk of innovation. Stepping away from the limelight he had so previously enjoyed, Herb instead focused on expanding ASD's research and development department. Looking beyond traditional weapons development, ASD would now be broadening their research into biomedical science, finding new applications for their work, and pushing the boundaries of what was scientifically possible. The last few decades have seen ASD expand their lab facilities to more parts of space and increase security to ensure that their cutting-edge research remains safe from prying eyes. While the public might still remember ASD as the company behind the EE-6 incident, experts in military technology are eager to see what breakthroughs the research firm will unveil next. Have you played the ASD missions in the PTU? I've gotten some of them, but I haven't finished them. My plan is to do the full Onyx missions on Monday. Electrons flow through you. So, to summarize this, ASD is started by this college dropout who loves science but isn't good at it, but has the vision for science. Manages to develop a capacitor that improves firing rate by 40% more efficient capacitor, which now becomes standard across the UEE. And then, utilizing their own technology, builds a weapons platform, the distortion cannons that we know about, to utilize those capacitors efficiently, which becomes super effective at disabling ships. Using all of that information, they then turn to you to create the EE-6 or EE-7 electron cannon. And they decide to do a live fire demonstration, and through a freak accident discover that the weapon they built was so good that if it hit the hull, it would incinerate everyone inside of the ship. And it was so powerful, it would over-penetrate ships. And it overpenned and killed the civilian crew. But instead of going, whoopsie daisy, we fucked up, I'm handing in my resignation, big scandal, the UE military was like, we would like the weapon, please. That weapon that is absolutely devastating, we would love to have it in our hands. And so ASD was just really quiet and was like, yeah, we fucked up. But we accidentally lead into a weapon of mass destruction that's gonna make us bank. So I'm not stepping down, fuck you. I ain't going home. Wolf of Wall Street. So, and then they decide to double down and then use the same ideas for biomedical or for bio research. Now, keep that in mind. That is the mentality of this company, which is a horrible accident can occur that has lots of civilian deaths. But it made them fuck tons of money, so they'll apologize. But in the future, they'll just not do it publicly. They have very little standards when it comes to testing and research, as long as the product is good enough for sale. So, this is the backdrop to which Dr. Jorrett is hired. And I'm gonna do this again because some people left. So I will pull up this video again. This is the SSN news flash from 4.3. So we have a little bit of an update on ASD and Dr. Jorrit.
This is James Harriman with another SSN Newsflash. Allegations have been raised against famed weapon manufacturer Associated Science and Development after evidence surfaced regarding a research facility that was experimenting on irradiated Valakar young under the direction of Dr. Logan Jorrit. Now, while not technically illegal due to the lab's location in Pyro, animal rights groups have lobbied for an investigation to be launched into ASD's research practices in all of their facilities to make sure they're operating within accepted parameters. A company representative claims that they will cooperate with any investigation, but stressed that Addison's Second Life initiative provides a very wide umbrella for current scientific endeavors, especially ones regarding the regen crisis. We're out of time. We'll see you on the next Newsflash.
That is not just Jared's voice, that's literally Jared's performance. I really like the NPC's eyes. It looks like he's reading off a screen because he is. Jared was literally reading off the screen when he was doing it, but that's how newscasters do it. So. Again, CIG, please do that. I'm going to pull this up. So the thing about the audio is that the actual audio and how it functions is a little different from the one that's in the game. So I'm going to pull up the raw files because Top Men managed to get me this. I asked if they could get it for me. They said, well, they'll look into it, and they looked into it and found it. So Lazarus facility is built in Pyro. What we do know, I don't have all of the data pads from this, but what we do know is that these facilities were built in Pyro specifically to study the regen crisis and to try to figure out a solution to the regen crisis. And what they have been doing is they discover that Valakar pearls have some capacity to improve regen. And through accident or experimentation, they discover irradiated Valakar pearls are much better for this. The problem is that they have to attract large apex Valakar, irradiated Valakar, to be able to harvest these pearls. And they're experimenting with ways of doing that. Thank you, Del. So these are some of the audio files from the Lazarus facility.
All right. Hello. Here we go. Problem. Currently utilizing the death cries of Valakar larvae to summon and harvest irradiated apex. Obviously, there are moral issues with this approach. Hypothesis. By using some recordings I made, I believe we could synthesize the same sound without the need to cause unnecessary pain. I just finished some initial testing and was finding encouraging solutions.
Excuse me.
Dr. Jorrit. Hello.
Who are you?
Amanda Preston, sir.
What are you doing?
I was hoping to put together an official presentation, but I think I've found a way for us to summon the Apex Valakar more effectively.
We have a way.
Well, sir, we wouldn't have to destroy the eggs to do
They're
this.
worms.
But...
They're worms. And you have real work to do.
Yes, sir.
So, the way that they do it is by basically torturing young Valakar and Valakar eggs to summon the Apex Valakar. So what you're doing when you do that, when you have the egg, is you're literally murdering a baby Valakar to pull out the Valakar, Apex Valakar, and a bunch of other things. So, now you know. Moral ambiguity. All right.
Personal journal, entry 7.
This is Dr.
I
Jorrit.
managed to get a workable pearl into the machine and started running it through a spectrum of wave types. Mostly nothing, as expected. But something seems to be happening when agitating the photons of both the imprinted Ibrahim sphere and the extraction of the pearl. I'm not sure what it means, but the scans are triggering some anomalous energy signatures. What is this? Let me try running it against the sample I brought from the other lab. Oh, glorious! The reaction is stronger. My initial hypothesis that irradiated Valakar pearls could help stabilize the Ibrahim sphere connections seems to be correct. But I think its true value lies with my other work. I must get back to my real lab and see what this means.
This is the first indication that Dr. Jorrit is only on loan to do the Second Life Initiative. He has another objective. His work in the Lazarus facility is simply I don't know, like contract job for ASD. We do know that he was fired from ASD for his experiments. So this work that he was doing was in fact illegal. So the regen crisis is not about the cloning part, but the Ibrahim sphere part. The issue is that the imprints don't seem to be working. The imprints are failing. So basically, the cloning part isn't happening because for whatever reason, the imprints aren't regenning. So when you go to regen, the imprints just don't work. They're stopping. Basically, you're maxing out your IVS score in one death, which shouldn't happen.
Test. Okay, it's recording. Preliminary results look promising. Ibrahim spheres enhanced with irradiated pearl dust are showing better entanglement outcomes than what we're seeing with the normal ones. Dr. Jorrit's already given clinical the go-ahead to start in vivo testing, but I'm not confident we're at that stage yet. I want to replicate this a dozen or so times before we move on to development. We don't have enough data yet to say this is statistically significant. I wanted to get this on record, in case Dr. Jorrit keeps pressuring us to rush things. Still, I'm feeling hopeful. Maybe we can solve the regen crisis. Not bad for a weapons company.
Okay. Amanda, again.
Oh, I was hoping to put together an official presentation, but
Okay, that's part of that, you know.
There.
They're worms. Yeah, it's all part. So those are the 3 audio files from the whole thing. Are these? Yeah, these are the game recordings you come across in Stormbreaker. So, hey, New Soul, how you doing? This might be something I hand to this whole thing might be something I hand to Uri and y'all in New Soul if you want to. I'm doing an investigative report into Dr. Jorrit, the Dr. Frankenstein of Star Citizen, because there's some juicy shit that's coming out. So you can find, so yeah, Luna, it's not showing because I screwed up. I just forgot to do it, but I can still see you. And the Lazarus facility is literally just a supply lab for the Onyx facilities. Yes. All right. If you haven't played, I also managed to get a couple of things from the 4-3 Onyx facilities, which were in the labs. We're going to listen to a few of them. We don't have the full context for them, but if you can, I don't know if you can find them in game as of right now. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this when we've stopped listening to it, if you do not want spoilers for the Onyx facility. Again, we don't know the context, but this is fucking spoilers. These are what you can find in the Onyx facility. All right? Now, I personally think you can easily listen to this in the Onyx facility with better context, and it would probably hit you better than just me talking about it. But this is for sure spoilers, because it's still in PTU. I don't know if you can find them right now in the game, but they're supposed to be in the game. So, again, I will hold my hands up like this when we've stopped. Okay? So at this point, if you don't want it, mute or go, if you're watching this after the fact, advance to the point where I put my hands up. All right? Ready? This first one's not much of a spoiler. It's simply the introduction to the mission itself.
Hey, thanks for picking this up. Name's Arkin Malla. Hockrose dropped this case on me, so I'll be running ops on this side.
Is he fucking Australian?
You got the high level from the brief, but the client's interested in looking into a Dr. Logan Jorrit. He's one of Associated Science and Development's big brains who's been catching some flack ever since it came out that he was crushing baby worms over at their Lazarus sites. You're heading to a decommissioned ASD facility called Onyx that was Jorrit's first official post. Client thinks Jorrit may have been shady back then and wants to know what he got into there. This place may be closed, but it's probably not empty, so bring some protection. I'll get in touch once you get on site.
So, there's more so add to this. That's basically what it is. You're being hired as an investigator from Arkin, who has a client who's asking for you to investigate into Dr. Jorrit's past to figure out what's going on. Yes, Onyx is older than Lazarus. It likely predates the regen crisis, to give you context.
Glad the doctor liked to keep organized notes.
Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Zero Lambda just got a sub from Dry Khan. Dry Khan gifted a tier 1 sub to Zero Lambda.
Thank you so much for giving that sub to Zero Lambda. You're both very important puppers, very impressive business, very pedestrians. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Hey, what's up, Knowledge? Someone says, off topic, but are you still a teacher or a full-time content creator? Still a teacher? Sadly, I make more money as a teacher than I do as a content creator. That's quickly changing, but not super quick. Once I reach the state where I'm making as much money streaming or more money streaming and doing content than I am doing teaching, then I'll talk about doing a full-time content creator. But until then, which is probably not until Squadron 42 is released. It'll still be teaching. And even then, I'll still be teaching. I'll probably just do a part-time teaching rather than full-time because there's a lot of benefits to it, and I still have a lot of time. So, all right. So, I have still not. I'm not gonna put my hands up, but if you watch this because you saw me dancing, still spoilers. All right, still spoilers. We're going into spoiler territory. Up. Okay. It's not that much of a spoiler, again, but I'll leave this up here until we're done. Okay? That way when people come in, we know we're talking spoilers for right now. For the Onyx facilities.
Glad the doctor liked to keep organized notes. That should lay out everything you need to do to get this experiment of his up and running again. Looks like you'll need to get components from the research and engineering wings. I'll leave it up to you where to start.
All right. That's
You can take away my spaceship.
spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
Cisiano just resubscribed for 19 months. Spoilers Pog.
Spoilers, Pog. Thanks so much for that Prime sub. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, Mr. Very
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
JP Sandman just got a sub from Dry Khan. Dry Khan gifted a tier 1 sub to JP Sandman.
Thank you so much for gifting that sub. I think I'm gonna have to start streaming to support my stream spending. You don't have to spend anything. Just being here is nice. Thank you so much for that support. You're very important, puppers, very impressive, misters, very neat pedestrians. This is your fault. You're trying to drink a night. Shots and cheers to chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Honestly, I've discovered that
Them biddies.
thank you for them biddies. Hip hop huzzah. That YouTube is actually a better payout than Twitch because it's a little bit more consistent, but I have to be more consistent with YouTube to make it work. I think people are trying to get you to retire. That's fine, but it's not going to be done by individual people. It needs the best thing you can do if you want to help me if you want me to go full time as a content creator is to watch my videos on YouTube, to like my videos on YouTube, to comment on them, to spread them around to your other friends, to help get those numbers up and to get those subscriber counts up. Because when I have higher subscriber numbers and higher average numbers, it's easier for me to get sponsors, which can offset low months. So if I can get a sponsorship, which for the right size, I'm at the size and the range where I could be getting a sponsorship for like $1,000. And right now, because of my relatively low numbers in a lot of things, the best I can do is about $250 to $300. But I could be getting $1,000 or more per sponsorship, which means that I could be getting $500 to $1,000 per video guaranteed on top of Twitch's or top of YouTube content, which is vital for me to be able to do it full time. Because right now it pays for itself and pays for new equipment and that sort of thing. But if I need to do it full time, I'd have to pay for my health insurance. I'd have to pay for, mortgage, help pay for my mortgage, just to help pay for my bills and all those sort of things. So, anyways, back to the research. Though these are all spoilers. These are audio files from Dr. Jorrit himself.
Well, Sam, are you ready to make some history as the first person to have their consciousness transferred?
Yeah, I think so, Dr. Jorrit. But I did think of one more question.
Yes, Sam?
Well, I get that I'm going to...
You're good.
I am token 23 just gifted 5 subs.
You're giving those 5 subs that I am token. You're both very important puppers. Very impressive. Mr. Fame, pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat. Y'all shots and cheers. You want to hit that sub goal, which I get. Cannonless. Where did we buy that helmet? It'd be dope if a horde of space
Them
helmeted
biddies.
fans flooded Austin
Where do we
Citizen
buy
Con.
that helmet? It'd be dope if a horde of space helmeted fans flood the Austin sitcom.
That's it's all on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon. Now the ones that they have on Amazon now are not assembled, so you have to build them yourselves. They're just like a kit, but you get them on Amazon. $25-$30. So, all right. Back to spoilers. Again, restart this again.
going to be a new...
Well, Sam, are you ready to make some history as the first person to have their consciousness transferred?
Yeah, I think so, Dr. Jorrit. But I did think of one more question.
Yes, Sam?
Well, I get that I'm going to be a new clone body. But what happens with the old me?
There will be no old you. This Vandal tech, while amazing, isn't able to make copies of humans just quite yet. When the scan completes, your current form will cease to function, and the imprint of your being will be transferred directly into the new body.
So, it's like I die?
The exact opposite. You will live forever.
So it's very clear that this audio is likely from early experimentation into regen. So Dr. Jorrit may be one of the researchers who actually created regen alongside Dr. Ibrahim. 2932-ish, that's way too early. Probably more 2942 or 2945. The tech wasn't finished until 2950, and this is talking about a cloned body. It could be from the early times because before they had regen gel, but they didn't fully have the sphere until 2947. So this is fairly recent. Which means Stanton, and specifically ASD, was part of the program to part of the regen crisis regen program, which makes sense. Him having an aunt at Microtech, or the founder of, or the current CEO of the ASDs having an aunt at Microtech, probably means he has at least some connections with people at Microtech, and they would be the kind of people who'd help kind of sponsor this. So they captured tech in 2932, but they had no fucking idea what it was until 2947, when a Black Ops mission managed to get more information about the Vandal tech. And they used that as the basis for regen, as the basis for the Ibrahim sphere. And it wasn't until 2949 that they combined it with the regen serum, which I personally believe was developed specifically for Project Calliope, which is the character creator that we have now, which is in game. It's an outpatient procedure to change everything you want about your body, at least physically. You can turn yourself anything, change your gender, change your appearance, change your height, your weight, everything. It is a full body transformation to make you look like anything you want to look like, with using new high-tech facilities rather than hours and years of expensive surgery. This can take over a couple of, like, maybe a day or so. So it's this revolution, and it probably involved this serum, which can map anything you want it to map. It's under the regen, what is regen lore piece. So All of this is under the what is regen lore piece from the when they first introduced regen. They talked about that with Dr. Ibrahim. Also, it's in my video. All right. So we see Dr. Jorrit is part of one of the first group people to experiment with what the Ibrahim sphere is capable of.
Initial assessment of sample RP5T6L9. Discovered by one of the workers during the low-level expansion. This biological remnant appears to be the shed skin of some reptilian-adjacent, hereto unknown species. Extremely flexible. Seems to allow for an incredible range of motion. If this piece was shed during ecdysis, it quickens the heart to imagine the potential size of such a creature. I've sent more workers down to see if they can uncover any more samples. Until they do, I'm forced to hold off on more destructive tests.
This is an important one because this unknown creature is not a Valakar. Valakars have been well known in the universe for a very long time. This is a brand new, completely unknown creature. It might have been a mutation of a Valakar, but it is definitely not a new that reminds me, I need to submit a question next time CIG is accepting questions regarding character creation on the scale of Oddjob to Andre the Giant. How diverse array of characters will we be able to make once a character creator is feature complete? Okay. So this is a new creature of some kind. All right. Now we're going to get into Dr. Jorrit looking into where this tech comes from in the first place.
We are told that the Vandul are our enemies. Why? Because they attack without mercy? I see no wrath in their attacks, just efficiency. They don't hate us, they just don't consider us equals. They are a species that lives for the future. Their regeneration system is designed to only propagate the genes of those who excel. They are perfectly adapted to their life in space. And what are we? Disgusting. The chaotic blend of impulses and imperfections. We can't even abandon our attachment to our dead home world. How can we compete with a species that's so perfect, balanced, evolved? By learning from them. Yes, we must adapt as they adapt. Use every regen as an opportunity to hew off our imperfections. I will remake us to what was intended. To truly take our place as an elevated species of the stars.
He wanted to use regen tech to change humanity, to improve humanity. Smells like eugenics? Yeah. So he wanted to not just create, he did not want to preserve humans. He wanted to improve them through it. To evolve us, yeah. All right. This is the last file I have currently.
Say that again. I want it on the record. The scans indicate that the biomass that's inside the Vandal ship isn't dead, only dormant. This organic matter, present throughout the hull of the ship, is theorized to provide atmosphere for the pilot. It can also act as a sealant from vacuum. Have you tried feeding it? What? Maybe it needs food. Doctor, I find a way to compost organic matter and let's see if we can wake it up. Yes, Doctor.
He's feeding Vanduul ships. So, for those of you who don't know, Vanduul ships are part biotech. The way that they build their ships is through an organic slurry, which they use, they're harvesters. They drop harvesters on planets, which basically churn up the entire planet's biosphere and anything that they can get in terms of minerals. This slurry of organic and inorganic matter is then used for everything in Vanduul society, as far as we can tell. Food, construction material, everything. So whatever is coating the inside of Vanduul ships is alive. Where the fuck did he find an intact Vanduul ship to feed?
You can take away my spaceship.
Yeah, that is Ethan Phillips.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Northern Trooper just resubscribed for 25 months. HAEACCCCKIING. Has been mentioned again.
Yes, hacking has been mentioned again. We'll talk about that here a little bit later. Thank you so much. You're a very important power van precipice surveying pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. All right. With that being said, spoilers are over. No more spoilers.
Dem biddies.
How do I feed my glaive?
With a spoon. Thank you for them biddies. Down on this. I will say, this is hinting at a very, very interesting Day of the Vara release. Whatever's coming out in October is going to be interesting, to say the least. If not this year, then next year. How do I support ASD research? Your body. I would like to know more. But someone asked, is this what was that? Ethan Phillips. Yes, that is Ethan Phillips. He went on Twitter and thanked CIG. He is Dr. Jorrit. Who's Ethan Phillips play otherwise? No. It's not Ethan Phillips. It's not the Ethan Phillips. There's somebody else. Do have his name. Scott Joseph. That's Scott Joseph. Fun fact, Scott Joseph plays a character in Space
I
Marine.
need anime art of a glaive in a high chair and Bib being fed gerber by J. Huckabee. Artists get on it.
He also played the Emperor in Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah. So go follow him on social media and thank him for his wonderful work as Dr. Jorrit. And ask him, how do you feed a Vanduul glaive? played Varelius. I think it's the guy who blows up in Space Marine 2. Sure. See if I can find his post specifically on Star Citizen. It's been a couple months, so. Here it is.
Them biddies.
There you go, chat.
How many 890J passengers does it take to feed a kingship?
So again, I would like to point out that this is the reason why the people of Virgil, the children of Cyrene, built a gigantic 8-foot tall killing machine specifically to kill Vanduul, because they watched the Vanduul eat their planet. And by planet, I mean anything that's on the planet, including their relatives, after terror bombing them repeatedly. You might get a little idea that if full understanding of Vanduul technology will probably piss off more humans. Humans will get pretty pissed off if they found out what their like family members are being turned into. Yeah, that's his post. Go send him some love. Go. He only has 22 likes on that post. But yeah, that is Dr. Jorrit and ASD. I'm going to be doing a full deep dive video into Dr. Jorrit and his work. So if you have a social media, go follow him there. Do you think we'll ever get a Vanduul NPC that is sympathetic to humans as a mission giver? Probably in the distant future, but not in the early future. The Vanduul aren't a mono culture. They have similar cultures, but there are each tribe, each clan has its own unique aspects. Oh, of course, I'm also going to play the Stormbreaker. It's such a good fucking video. Here you go, chat. And then we'll do the month. We'll get some water and then we'll just...
Day 96. This is it. The breakthrough I knew would happen. The specimen holds answers far beyond their comprehension. Even the infants serve my purpose. They need an end to the regen crisis, and I will deliver it, despite my colleagues' protests. That is why I am essential. Where they see life, my mind sees the design. The data locked in flesh that must be harvested. Science will not cower to moralistic fear. Progress requires clarity, not sentiment. To discover is to survive. To evolve is to rule. Once again, they put their future in the hands of science, yet still refuse to trust its judgment, its results. It's my responsibility to push forward. I will save us all.
we go. Stormbreaker. Guy in the cash armor is a real villain. It's pronounced Frankenstein. So now that you've seen and heard all of ASD's context and the audio files from the various points, and then rewatched Stormbreaker, you may have a better understanding of how fucking weird and crazy Dr. Jorrit is. Effectively, he's obsessed with evolving humanity to become more like the Vanduul through regen tech. I'm sticking with Umbrella Corp. The funny thing is, I was thinking about this, and the reason why I got these files was because the person who, someone reached out to me and was like, listen, I need some lore context. What the fuck is this, all this stuff talking about, like, genetic modification and, like, experimenting with imprint modification. It's like, I think you all accidentally are trying to think about this in terms of like CIG building content and don't realize that this is a story. This is CIG's storytelling. And they're finally learning how to do it right, in my opinion, which is a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over here. And so you have to find it yourself. But there's a picture there that you would find if you did it. Dave is finally getting to run. Yeah, this is very classic horror storytelling shit.
Them biddies.
Weird sudden unrelated thought, but would you play GeoGuessr Star Citizen Edition?
I would. I'd fail. I'd absolutely fail. I don't know any places really that well. Log 1, we made a gorilla with chainsaw arms and told the interns to keep tasing it 24/7. Does anyone have the new splash screen so I can take a look at that one? As always, this is the sort of it's probably been posted. Not seeing it posted that I can find. Yeah, not seeing it. Yeah, log 1, we made a gorilla with chainsaw arms and told the interns to keep tasing it 24/7. Log 2, it escaped. That was log 3. Log 2 was a huge diatribe about how he said he was playing God. Yeah. Am I gonna get into Battlefield 6 beta? Of course I am. I'm not gonna stream it because I'm not a Battlefield streamer. But I love Battlefield. And Battlefield 6 looks and feels like it's a return to the classic Battlefield formula, which is nice, with some improvements. So. Especially since it looks like they're doing another single-player campaign, which is nice. Thank you, GQ. Here we go. Getting in 4K too. Nice. All right. Congress hears testimony from ASD whistleblower. The Senate Innovation Subcommittee took closed-door testimony from a former Associated Science and Development employee following the reports of a potentially unethical and illegal experiments being conducted at company facilities in Stanton and beyond. Stories and images of these alleged experiments have flooded Spectrum, causing a firestorm of debate surrounding the loosening of scientific restrictions permitted by the Second Life Initiative, SLI. An official release from ASD's board denied any wrongdoing by the company and insisted that all authorized experiments exceed the standards set in SLI, noting that the allegations appear to be linked to research facilities in Stanton that are no longer in operation. Oh, our first contact is August 9th. Interesting. And of course, look at that baby. Kruger L21 Wolf.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Extreme Tuber, we just resubscribed for 56 months. WH, what has it really been that long?
God damn, 56 months. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. You're a very important part, very impressive pisser, very pedestrian. This your fault. These are drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Otherwise known as the Gutayama Corsair and ED. Oh, is it similar to that? I mean, it's a classic style. The design is very similar to the Naboo Starfighter, and it's a classic sort of retro-futuristic kind of style. L21 stands for 210 USD. I don't think so. I think based off of its size and it's because it's like a light fighter. I think might be a medium fighter. I think it likely is going to sit at around. My guess would be 150. It's still going to be expensive, but who knows? CIJ could hit us with like a $80 price. If it's an $80 price, it's going to be an instant grab. The Jetson's a good example. It looks like a beefed up version of the Merlin and the Archimedes. That's what it really is. It's just a super souped up version of the Merlin. Wolf has a Hank Hill butt. There's nothing there. Wish they went with the A concept more. Did they go with the design A from the spread they showed? No, it looks like they went with something else. I just want to play a fun immersive shooter, but I'm gonna check it out. It looks great. It's
You
just
can take away my
it's
spaceship.
EA, so anything can happen.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No computers.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
The first tasty just resubscribed for 51 months. 50 Shade of Low.
Thank you so much for that 50 months of support. You're very important, Pupper. Very impressive, 51 months. Very impressive, Pupper. Very important, Pupper. Very impressive, Pisser. Very needed pedestrian. This is your fault. These are drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Someday I just want to see like 100 resubs in a row, like or 100 months. Because there's definitely been people in this chat who've been here for over 100 months. In that duration, it'll happen at some point. Where do you get that saying from? What saying? Oh, my full spiel. Very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very needed pedestrian. Because VIP. You're a VIP when you become you're a VIP here at the pub, and I decided to have different acronyms. What is the different things for acronyms? So, very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very needed pedestrian. As a man of many names, how would you like to be addressed if seen at CitizenCon? Oh yeah, so it's not CitizenCon proper, but it is a watch party, and we are doing it in Austin. There is going to be tickets sold for it. Please do check it out if you want to come to the one in Austin. And we do have limited, it's limited because where we're doing it is slightly different. Oh, awesome, Yubi. I don't know. I didn't get it from anywhere. I just made it up myself. Will I stream what? Oh, the CitizenCon thing? Well, we don't have CIG members coming up to talk or anything like that. So, no, I probably won't be streaming it because we'll just be doing a watch party along with everybody else for CitizenCon Direct. So it's effectively, we have a small gathering where we're going to be doing things around CitizenCon, and then we'll watch the whole CitizenCon Direct together, and then we'll do sort of like sit down and talk afterwards. But we won't have like a live stream set up there. But it's myself, Solus from Beyond the Verse podcast. DJ Knight is coming, we know. We're going to see who else we can get. But the idea is a lot of people from around the Texas Bar Citizens are using our event as the focal point. So a lot of people are coming from out of the city to come watch. So, but if we call you Berserker, Mr. Astro is just Paul. Paul works. Just saying Paul is fine. I'll do that. You can just say Mr. Astro. If you say Berserker, you might get a bunch of people turning around and looking at you, but. we have a date for CitizenCon? Yes, October 8th. That might not be the right one. October 11th. And I discovered that I have the 10th and the 13th off from work, so... Hey, lore guy. Yeah, that works too. And it is a, what do we call it? It is a pre-recorded. So it's not a live in-person event. It is a pre-recorded video that they'll be live streaming, but it'll be posted as well afterwards. It's like probably like a 2-hour video total. So it's kind of like what they did during COVID. All right, now I'm gonna go get my water, and then after that we'll do our monthly report, which is it's a thick monthly report. Lots of cool stuff being mentioned. Mostly in the ship category and the core gameplay, but yeah, pretty cool. All right, don't go anywhere, chat. Your fun button should be on as of now. Check. Oh, they're not. Hold on. Oh, jeez, it's not working, bro. Okay, it should be on now. Yeah, it's on now. Oh, you're playing a new game plus of Expedition 33? Awesome. A friend of mine mentioned he watched a war video, and I asked, was it from Paul? And he's like, his mother said, no, it was from the Asteroid story. Did you respond to him being like, so it was Paul? Because I do say my name. I'm Paul. I say my name is Paul Shelley, and this is the Asteroid story. So I do say my name.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
There's one line that ruined it for me. Have nice food. All right, I'll be right back. If you're on YouTube watching this after the fact, mute it until I come back because they're gonna go crazy.
Good news, everyone! Barcelona! Barcelona! Barcelona!
Stand by for Titanfall.
Barcelona! Barcelona!
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
Weapons free, y'all!
I'm Fly. I'm Pilot.
Barcelona! 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 Barcelona!
Them biddies.
Weapons free, y'all.
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
All I know about Expedition 33 is the clip of the weird kind of large guy who is like, I cannot join you. And then one dude being like, there'll be a lot of violence. And he goes, yeah, that's true. You get a lot of kill a lot of things. And he's like, correct. Oh, that's right. And they just kind of quickly back and forth. And he's like, I'm in. After saying he wasn't going to go. The same guy who wanted to show off for the ladies and did something and then fucked up and face smashed and was like, I totally meant to do that. I don't know who that is. That might be Monoko, but I love that guy. Very fun. All right. Monthly report time. Oh, by the way, I'll pull this up as well. Official CitizenCon watch parties. There we go. Mentioned Austin, 12 p.m. to 2100 hours. 12 to 2100 hours. This is where we're going to be. This is our website. This is the tickets. Website of the items. And then we've got Salt Lake City, Utah. San Jose, California. This is where Apollonaut, which I believe that's him right there. It's a fantastic edition. They're going to be at Guild House, which is a pretty cool nerd bar. Scottsdale, Arizona. Washington, D.C. And then in Europe, we've got Ebikon, Switzerland. Liechtenstein, UK. Lyon, Spain. Paris, France. So, neat. Leicester. It should be spelled like that. It's not spelled Leicester. It's spelled Leicester. Oh, way to go, CIG. G. I wonder what this image is of. This is the freaking monthly report. Think back to knowledge. Think back to what we were just talking about in terms of looking into Dr. Jorrit and his fucked up experiments. And that'll tell you exactly what this is. Definitely something. It's just Banner July 2025 is what it is. There's no actual name to it, I don't think. To be fair, all the guesses so far have been wrong. Well, it is probably labeled in the files, is what it is. But it definitely is part of the current trope zone. Nope, we're going to be doing it here shortly there, X. I think we'll have to talk about the wolf, the L21 wolf tomorrow. Yeah, this is a 4-3. It's definitely 4-3. Ibrahim, not Abraham. bless Dr. Jorrit. It's not even Jorrit, it's Jorrit. It's the same name, but in a different language. That'd be like saying Juan Smith instead of John Smith. What's the call sign there, X? Dr. Aka Ibrahim. Father of regeneration. Has anyone seen Algrid after the L21 Wolf image came out? He's in too much of a fantastic coma. Honest Ibrahim. All right. So I'm going to go through this recording, and I really don't have much after this, so we may actually end up setting it pretty quickly. I know I've always said, whenever I say it's going to be a short episode, but like I have to get up early tomorrow and do some stuff, so I probably will end it after that. But it's a long monthly reports. Monthly reports are typically recording about 40 minutes, and we're coming in at an hour 40 minutes right now, so that'll be 2 hours and two and a half hours. So even like 30 minutes after that would still hit us to a 3 hour, which is not bad. I did call him and let him know it dropped. He's probably kicking himself. We'll have time to be excited when it fully comes out, though. All right. For those of you who haven't been here before, Capsule, Twitch chat, hit me up with some capsule emotes. Capsules are a little different from my normal content when I do live stuff. I'm basically gonna be talking at the camera because it's effectively a live content that's designed specifically to be recorded for afterwards. It's just, y'all got it. Pre-recorded, yeah, basically. So I will be mostly paying attention to the monthly reports, reading through it, adding my own sort of context for what some of this stuff is, and then I will be I will be posting it as a video tomorrow. So it'll basically, after the stream is over, I'll throw it into the editor, trim it down, put the intro and outro to it, export it, and post it to YouTube, and it'll be available for any members and right away, and it'll post to live for everybody else by like noon. Chat is the live studio audience. Not live. All right. With that being said, let's get started. Make sure the settings are properly We'll see if this works. Give it a few seconds, double checking to make sure. Is it good? Not seeing any major issues. We see any drop frames? No, we see a little bit drop frames. CPU usage is spiking a little bit. How about on YouTube? It's good so far. We good? When's the next History of Star Citizen coming out? I'm just waiting on my editor to slap the audio in, and once he sends it to me, it'll be out. Not for everyone, but for people who for Patreons. And then once that's released for Patreons, it'll be 2 weeks. So anytime between today and probably the end of this week is when it'll be released to Patreons. And so if it's released this week, like Saturday, then it'll come out on Saturday the 21st or the 23rd. So 2 weeks. Misspelled Dr. Jorritt's name. Change that. Freaking spell his name. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording, and then I'm gonna actually set up the recording here. All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hello, handsome. How you doing? Welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right. Giving you a bite-sized piece of, I don't know, medicine, I guess? It's probably a bad analogy. Keeping you up to date on Star Citizen news, lore, and more. This capsule is the monthly report for July 2025. But before we get into that, if you've been watching this in the past, or if this is your first time doing it, I would ask now, if you are enjoying this, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more of these that come out, because I do these every month, and comment down below. It does help. All of that stuff helps kind of tell YouTube that this guy is awesome. Please, more Star Citizen people should be watching it. If you're a fan of Star Citizen, you should be watching that. And that would help out to grow the channel. And if you enjoy this, come join us live. Twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live. I do these on Thursdays, not monthly reports every Thursday, but I do my office hours every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, where we talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We just did an insider look at Dr. Jorrit, who from ASD, from the Stormbreaker and the new Onyx facilities, who's being set up to be a quite interesting character who might be a antagonist, a running antagonist in the Star Citizen universe, which will lead to me doing a lore video on the Astro Historian about him. We do things like we look at the roadmap roundups, we look at latest videos that CIG releases, and I try to pull as much context of development together to talk about like what you should expect from Star Citizen in the long term. So if you like all that, please join us live. With that all being said, let's look into the July monthly report, noting this is a full read through of the monthly report, not a summary. I'm going to read you everything that is said and give you context for some things which, if you haven't been following along for the years I've been doing this, should give you some ideas of what CIG is doing, especially as they said, oh, in last month we talked about such and such, to give you that context. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. All right. So, PU monthly report for July 2025. This is a very big spoiler that CIG's hitting at you, but this is a 4.3 thing. You'll see it if you get to it. With last month's patch launching and a new one fast approaching, no Star Citizen dev has been short of things to do. Read on all the things in the latest development updates from each team, including AI, ships, core gameplay, narrative, and VFX. AI content. July saw the AI content team continue its ongoing initiatives mentioned in recent monthly reports, including the push to the new combatant wildline sets, which will be completed following some integration work. So for those of you who don't know, the last month they talked about the combatant wildline where effectively they're trying to make combatant wildline. So if you're fighting somebody, either in FPS and in ship combat, to be more regular and varied. So it's not just overwhelming you with the same stuff, but also more context driven in terms of what's happening. Using the technology they've developed for the wildlines in stations. So if you go to like stations or like landing zones and you start hearing two NPCs talk, it's that sort of technology they do. The team also revisited shop behaviors to look for new opportunities to make the population feel more interactive. For example, leveraging the recent behavior found in medical stations, where NPCs voice their concerns about the regen crisis, to add even more lore and flavor. AI tech. Also planned for several of their upcoming releases, outlining the required work and highlighting potential obstacles they will need to support to overcome in order to deliver in the intended experience. Alongside this, the team continued to support the mission and design teams in implementing additional comms calls into the game. Basically, they've been doing a big push to try to make the game more immersive and more flavorful in general. It's just the direction they've gone. AI features. In July, the AI features team continued to develop new creatures, including prototype gameplay for a boss fight. Boss fight! As part of this, new tech was created that makes this process faster and more iterative, providing a better toolkit for the designers by compartmentalizing behaviors and making them data-driven. For human combat, the team fixed numerous smaller bugs and issues. They also added various polish features, including a close-range shove attack that allows the AI to respond rapidly to the player or other NPCs getting too close. AI features then continued to tweak, refine, and bug fix perception and investigation when used by group behaviors. Group perception time is now used to determine how long a target has been out of range rather than the individuals. The time before they time out, they go into investigation and then return to idle the time before they time out and go into investigation and return to idle was reduced too. Progress was also made on an AI weapon interface and dynamic condition weapons. For example, when weapons change from rapid fire to single fire when overheating. The team also prototyped tech for AI bounding overwatch, which relates to NPCs coordinating to traverse cover when moving to an area. This requires changes to TPS system to enable AI to find cover positions or paths. A lot of this does not feel like Star Citizen. It's probably more focused on Squadron, but these features are probably Squadron stuff that is also being carried over into Star Citizen. There's a lot of features we'll see in Star Citizen, in monthly reports, like AI, is really talking about both games rather than just one or the other. Simply because when they implement it in Squadron, they implement it in Star Citizen. It's just some of those features aren't turned on in Star Citizen because of performance problems. So some of the stuff is likely in the files themselves right now. They just aren't activated. So, but I could be wrong. But just keep that in mind that especially when you're talking about the technical stuff like engines and AI, a lot of this is double duty with Squadron. Back when they did Squadron monthly reports, often they would just copy and paste several sections of the Star Citizen monthly report and put it into to the Squadron report. Give you the idea. AI Game Intelligence Development Team. In July, the Game Intelligence Development Team continued to work on the prototype for Mission System version 2. This involved moving node states in graphs and reflecting them in copy, paste, and undo. The streaming profiler was also elaborated. The Entity Component Update Scheduler, ECUS, is a core system that determines what's in range and provides the fundamental proximity information for all streaming decisions. Furthermore, visual prototypes were developed for the density profiler, which pre-visualizes large scenes when there are too many entities. It includes a choice of pixel level and or volume level to quickly identify problematic areas. The team also continued to fix various small bugs and worked on features requested and suggested by the game designers to improve StarScript. So this is not the first time we've heard of Mission System version 2, but it's all exclusively been in AI development. We know that the Mission System V2 has been in active development and been partially implemented, at least, in the game already. But this is the third month, I think they've talked about V2 around AI. So we don't know what this means. We don't know if this is also related to dynamic missions as well. But it definitely seems to be heavily focusing on developers being able to use AI for their missions. So it's more of a application of tools for developers to work with missions. So they don't need to bother the AI team as much. They can just kind of do it on their own. AI tech. AI tech began this month improving navigation. For example, they fixed island connections for the planetary navigation mesh and made link improvements to navigation types and metrics, something they've been doing for a while. Navigation has been a huge push for AI tech over the last 2 months. Flags can now be added to navigation cost areas to prevent NPCs from stopping within them, while updates to the tactical point system prevent points from generating in areas where NPCs are not allowed to stop. This is an older system that's been mentioned a while back. It's been in Star Citizen Lives and Star Citizen Inside Star Citizens before. Effectively, NPCs are given points, and depending on how much points they have, will determine, and their labels will determine how they take paths. So certain NPCs, which might be more ambitious, will take more dangerous routes, and more ambitious NPCs that have less points allocated to them might make more mistakes or be slower over terrain versus others. So it's a way of taking an NPC, an AI entity, and then giving them more personality so that they don't just do the same thing every time. They're going to do things that's a little bit different to keep you on your toes. So you may find a pusher archetype coming at you, but how they engage you is designed to be dynamic. It might change depending on the personality of that pusher. That's effectively what a lot of this tech is. For ship AI, updates were made to various movement blocks following the addition of new features, while the new flight movement request type was implemented to blend ship movements to splines. They've been talking about splines for this stuff forever. Optimizations were also made to the vision components, such as preventing lock condition from submitting or canceling raycasts. It's just how AI see the world. So, like, to engage and not engage and sort of. For tools, the team added support for dragging and dropping multiple items into StarScript's outline view. They also added display platforms and layer names as part of the variable types in outline view, and made improvements to conversations view. New functionality was also added to the flow graph to let designers mark which subsumption global function behaviors are allowed to be used in scripting logic. For the usable builder, support was added for helper geometry and for selecting a usable channel for testing rather than an animation. Usable setup changes are now directly applied to the entity without needing to reload the tool too. Finally, for UI tech, fixes were made to various small issues such as name alignment slot not displaying properly, attached entities snapping to the wrong locations, and helpers not validating properly. Okay, so usable builder support was for helper geometry and for selecting a usable channel for testing rather than animation. Enabled usable setup changes are now directly applied to the entity without needing to reload. I don't quite know what that is. Then we got animation. This is a big one. Last month, the team progressed with new ship enter-exit template animation alongside pickups for bespoke gameplay features for an upcoming P release. This is awesome. People have been complaining about the enter-exit animations for a long time. They're very slow, and they kind of are awkward. And so maybe we'll see these be a little bit sped up or a little bit less precise, I guess, a little bit sloppier. The facial animation team processed contents from June's performance capture shoot, including several new mission givers and a mini-boss. They then worked alongside narrative to create and finalize animations for various TV broadcast characters that will populate the verse, including James Harriman. Yes! Yes! Holy shit, yes! This is... Oh! Now, for those of you who know my lore content, a lot of the lore we get comes from basically transcripts of live broadcasts in the verse. So we already have several staple shows that exist in the lore of Star Citizen. Star Watch, it's one of them. Booty Call, The Plain Truth. All of these are different shows that have different aspects of society. Now, CIG's writers have been using these to flesh out the world, both in terms of world building, but also specific stuff that they've been working on and what the game has been. We haven't had a transcript release from these shows in about 3 to 4 years. They stopped doing that when they started focusing more on gameplay narrative, and because they were focusing on pyro and other things like that. But they've been talking about for several years wanting to bring these into the verse so that players can watch these content as it occurs to update the players in the game about the actions that are going on in the lore. So you have context. Like there's a bounty hunter show, mercenary show. There are shows, like I said, Star Watch, like kind of celebrities. There's pirate broadcasts. There's conspiracy theorist shows. There's news broadcasts. There's lots of cool stuff. So this is amazing. This is good. That means hopefully we'll see them in game, and maybe in the future we'll be able to actually tune into these broadcasts to watch them ourselves, which is great. Devs were also back to set with mocap with narrative teams capturing additional content for Alpha 4.3.1 and future releases. Art characters. The character art spent the month creating new armors and armor variants. Meanwhile, the concept art team prepared handoff sheets and began the exploration phase for new flight suits alongside requests from other teams. Art ships. All right, y'all. This is why you're watching this. I'm going to bait the hell out of this one. So you're going to watch this because of this. But in the UK, the Anvil Paladin had its gray box gate review. This highlighted some challenges with the side turret setup, resulting in further rounds of iteration to get something that plays well, while also adhering to the original concept. So, the Anvil Paladin has failed its gray box gate review. It's not a bad thing. Ships fail them all the time. It's just more so that they can get a better idea about what's going to happen, which means that it will probably come up again next month for another chance at passing its review. If it does, then it goes to Lot 0, from Lot 0, then to Final Art. These can take a variety of time. There's really no real 100% time variance, but generally speaking, 1 to 2 months is a good baseline, and then the larger the ship, the longer you go. Paladin's like a medium-large ship, so my best estimated guess is if it passes its gray box review in August, then it might release in December. This will be like one of those last end of the year things at the earliest. But it could also end up being held until Invictus, because it's a great Invictus ship as well, which would be a while, but we'll see. Further navigation flow updates were made to the Drake Ironclad, including new elevators and revised staircase locations to improve traversal times around the ship. The Ironclad assault also progressed through White Box, with the team implementing the key differences between it and the base. This is where I take the controversial take. The Ironclad is not coming this year. I'm making that prediction. We are not going to see the Ironclad this year. As I just said, the larger the ship, the longer it takes to go through its phase. The assault isn't even out of White Box yet. So it has to release out of White Box, go into Gray Box, then go through Gray Box, and head into Lot 0, from Lot 0 to Final Art, and from Final Art to release. It's a larger ship. We're talking at least 6 to 9 months before we see it release. So it's likely not going to release until Invictus of next year. Around that, would be my guess. It's definitely not this year for Ironclad, not the Assault. For either, honestly. The Assault, I imagine a lot of the reuse of assets for the Assault is going to speed it up a little bit because it's just a small variant. It depends on, again, if those new assets they add in are complicated or need a lot of review. But it's basically adding a couple of guns and changing some of the geometry up a little bit. But some of the space and the geometry, but it doesn't physically change the whole of the ship. So, yeah. The RSI Meteor was also launched into the PU alongside full interior retrofit for the Mantis. 4 unannounced vehicles progressed down the pipeline too. The first was kicked off and is approaching the end of its white box phase, while the second passes white box review and progressed into gray box. Some issues around its cargo mechanism were identified during the review, but were rectified afterwards. The third continued through development, with all of its rooms receiving further geometry refinement alongside additional animation work for its moving elements. The final continued unannounced vehicle passed a combined gate review. This is done to provide more time for the audio, UI, VFX teams to add additional details with the aim of settling new standards and disciplines. Aha! So they're using a ship that is going to change how they do ships in the future. So that's interesting. So I also want to make sure the unannounced vehicles thing means that we have not heard of these vehicles. This does also include the L-21 Wolf because it was never been officially announced as the L-21 Wolf. We kind of know it was the Kruger fighter, but it's never been officially said as that. So one of those ships is likely the L-21 Wolf, unless they mention it further down here, but I don't think they. So these are brand new ships or variants of ships which we have not seen before. So there are 4. One is in white box, and it is going into end of white box. The second is in gray box, which has some cargo attached to it. The third is we don't know. It's just through development with its rooms receiving further geometry refinement alongside additional animation work for its moving elements. And the final one is doing a combined gate review. So it sounds like they're going from least developed to most developed. So I wouldn't be surprised if the third ship is in Lot 0 or Final Art. And then the final announced ship is basically, this is probably the L-21. This is likely the next vehicle they're releasing with either 4.3 or with 4.3 that we know for sure. That's the Kruger ship. So, and if you don't know about the L-21 Wolf, it is on the latest splash screen of 4.3. So, looks cool. This is this might be the Perseus. I think it's not the Perseus though. I think this is the Apollo. I think this is the new cockpit for the Apollo based off of the geometry. So. In North America, the RSI Apollo Medivac and Triage passed their Lot 0 reviews and are now in the final stages. So the Lot 0 is in final art. It is now the Lot 0. The Apollo is now in the final art. It's past Lot 0 and in the final art. So the Apollo is a couple of months away from release. Almost certainly CitizenCon or IAE. And are now final stages with damage setup, paints, and LOD levels being created. The RSI Perseus progressed through into Lot 0 phase. The exterior is now receiving the fine detail work, visually bringing it into line with the RSI ships. So the Perseus is a little bit bigger than the Apollo, but as everyone thinks it's bigger than it is. It's actually not as big as you think. So it's likely probably going to be released by the end of the year. Not by October, but I can see November or December. Finally, the Drake Kraken had further pre-production work done. This identified more areas where kits from the Ironclad will help speed up production, as well as some more challenging internal areas that require updated concept time, such as engineering and the recently added small medical facility. It's now confirmed that the Kraken's getting a medical facility, which is good. All right, so what do we know from ships? Kraken's being worked on. Perseus is probably before the end of the year. The Apollo is definitely before the end of the year. The L-21 Wolf is likely the last one that I mentioned, which is on its way in. We've got a ship that's in white box, a ship that's into gray box, and another one that's sort of somewhere between gray box and release, likely. The Ironclad is still in gray box or white box, so it's going to be a while, and the Paladin is heading into Lot Zero, so it's probably maybe by the end of the year, maybe a little bit later. So. Community. Much of July was spent on ensuring player feedback was landing in the front of the relevant developers' teams, alongside ongoing planning and support for the upcoming CitizenCon Direct. The team also continued to evergreen tasks like roadmap updates and roundups and the Marina Commander schedule update, and monthly reports like this one. July also kicked off the Foundation Festival, which accompanied by a post explaining how to join the guide system, alongside showcasing the rewards for participating. The team shared the new player essentials post featuring the collection of resources to help newcomers get started, an org spotlight comlink highlighting several player organizations recruiting new members, and the kindness and camaraderie screenshot contest that challenged players to share heartwarming moments of teamwork and friendship. Additionally, July marked the debut of the revamped referral program, including an improved user experience and refreshed rewards that unlock more frequently. For the launch of Alpha 4.2.1, the team published the Resource Drive FAQ, covering key details about the event, and a Q&A for the RSI Meteor was also released, answering questions about the new ship and highlighting improvements to the RSI Mantis and quantum interdiction system. Following up on June's Alien Week, the team released a digital cookbook featuring alien-themed recipes submitted by players for the Wicklow Taste Contest. Like this. It's funny, a lot of people have been like oohing and awing about Battlefield 6's drag system, and I'm like, first time? The month wrapped up with the launch of Ship Showdown 2955 as players began rallying behind their favorite flyable drivable vehicles by submitting the original creations to the community hub and X. Last we saw, our goat, our champion, our giant slayer, the gladiator, is currently in the lead for the underdog division. So if you are here, go to the community find anyone posting about the gladiator and give it a thumbs up. Help that thing rally. I'm going to be doing some other things as well, which may not make it to the first stages, but hopefully when it gets into the final stages, we'll give it some boost there. So keep that up there. Also the X85, I guess, because it's there. Bar Citizen World Tour continued with 2 stops, Quantum Vegas and the, here's me right here. Quantum Vegas and the Tempa Bar Citizen, where both events brought together new and familiar faces for energetic, heartfelt chips. And this is, why am I blanking on her name? I have her name. Sin. That's Sin, right there. So, and there's Danny Raymond. See all these wonderful folks. Fast Cart. Some of you may be seeing yourself in this as well if you've been watching this. So, make sure to check out Quantum Vegas. We might be doing another one next year. We should be doing another one next year. So if you want to join the community, the North American community, to come together and talk about Star Citizen, hang out with other community members, and maybe get some CIG members to talk about cool stuff, come join us. Core gameplay. Now, this is big. This is a thick boy. And that's because they have taken basically all of their disparate teams that worked on like FPS, flight, and all these sorts of things, and they sort of slammed them together into one big group. Throughout July, the core gameplay team focused on freight elevators, providing fixes for critical details raised during the Resource Drive event, while also improving the debugging tools alongside the QA team. This will ensure that future issues can be triaged faster with more initial information for investigation. It has improved, I will say that as the hotfixes and other things have gone out, it seems like the freight elevators are working more frequently, but it's still, you know, close to a 50% ratio of failure in my experience. So it's still a coin flip if you get them, but it is better than it used to be. Hopefully 4.3 brings further improvements. Work was also done alongside online technology on contact generation and how missions utilize locations, both in terms of finding and reserving to prevent them from becoming overrun. Immediate fixes were implemented and several future improvements were planned. So the bonfire that is the resource drive is actually, according to CIG, leading to improvements in how they're going to fix the game in the future, which is nice. So and then round 2, they pit it against something stupid and it gets stomped. They're gonna pit the 85X against the Gladiator. They're gonna make us choose our babies to fight. I'm sorry, PD. That meme of the guy crying with the gun, that's gonna be me with the 85X. If they do that, I'm sorry. Do it. We'll pump the little guy for next year. Core gameplay also improved the spawning flow to allow for another attempt of players spawning directly into their personal hangars instead of their home location hab. They did that with 4.3 Evocati. They had that activated, but I don't know if it's in 4.3 PTU, but it was activated in Evocati. This work also paves the way for allowing players to spawn where they are within reason, where they were within reason. So they are working on that process so that they can have you log out, and when you log back in, you're back where you were, which is interesting. 4.3 is still hangar spawn, so that's good. It is whatever they did has worked. Core gameplay began technical work towards refreshing parts of the inventory and continued bug fixing for freight elevators. Crafting, the team continued reevaluating the scope for the first public release, while inventory UI concepts shown recently on Star Citizen Live entered development, with the team doing preparation work and setting up the new canvas. So for those of you who don't know, the crafting has been completed in terms of what we saw at CitizenCon. It has been completed and works in the game, and it has UI, but it is developer UI or coder UI, not full UI. So they've been tweaking the elements as they go through. And it seems like what they're doing now is trying to focus on what degree are they going to have crafting work and what are they going to have in terms of crafting for the first initial release. Because they're not going to turn it on and be like, you can craft everything. It'll probably just be like FPS weapons, armor, utility stuff, like, you know, tractor beams, the sort of smaller, more reasonable things that they can control over. Because it's not just crafting, it's also having to introduce new materials, which will allow for when you craft your custodian, it's not just the custodian, it's the custodian plus. So. For hacking, wow, this is the second time they've mentioned hacking in 3 months. That's great. More options were added to help teach players how to use the feature alongside bug fixing. Might get hacking in the next 6 months or so, chat. That looks pretty good. Does that mean that we're going to get hacking this year? No. Okay? Do not take that. Them saying they're working on hacking does not mean we're getting hacking this year. They could have a complete hacking minigame functioning and tested, and if it even hints at any sort of stability problem, they would rip it out instantly. So don't keep that in mind with all of the gameplay features we're talking from here on out. Just because they're talking about them and they're working on the first initial steps doesn't mean we're going to see them soon, because this is still CIG prioritizing performance over new features. So core gameplay also supported weapon content in implementing a bespoke flap animation used for the charge-up sequences of the Volt sniper weapon. July saw engineering gameplay enter tech preview preparation, with the devs moving the code into a new staging system. They also added the ability to limit the number of active items per pool. Thruster temperatures are now visible on the screen, and the iconography between the diagnostics and engineering screens have been unified. The team also added further damage balance modifiers, for example, making fuses on sturdier ships harder to destroy. Diagnostics also received severity filters and item categories to make it easier to identify critical issues. So it sounds like their engineering gameplay tech preview is likely to come out in the next couple of months. Maybe August, but I'm guessing probably more like September. They'll likely want to release it before CitizenCon in some way, shape, or form. I've said this before, but it does seem like CIG is trying to get engineering in some sort of state for release. Engineering, scanning, crafting, possibly even base building. That last one's probably a little more. Yeah, those three things are definitely the next big features they're going to release. It's just a matter of when and how. And this is a tech preview, so it doesn't necessarily bode well for release this year, because they've done tech previews in the past, and usually it's like 6 to 9 months before we see it out of tech preview. So 6 months from now is 2026. So keep that in mind. As part of the ongoing Looting and Harvest Quality of Life initiative, the team completed a new implementation of loot generation. This system is twice as fast as the previous version and includes better controls for the designers alongside improved debug tools. That's something they've been doing for a while, trying to improve the system overall. The, quote, item expiry, unquote, feature kicked off, which will allow for the designers to define the functionality lifetime of items. This is intended for items such as key cards that are only meant to be usable for a limited amount of time before they become non-functional. An item's expiry date and timer will be visible in the inventory progress on item recovery Tier 1 continued, including various setup and debug tool tasks. That's interesting, because that seems like CIG is developing Tier 1, which is important because Tier 1 is connected directly to crafting. So we need crafting in order for Tier 1 to exist. So that's a big one. The team completed the refactor of Quantum Interdiction for server meshing, which was released in Alpha 4.2.1, which it works. I've been quantum interdicted by NPCs. There's still a few outstanding tasks to complete that will be delivered as part of a future release. The team also continued to work on the flight system. For example, Control Surface's fly-by-wire system was finished, which will feed pilot commands to the IFCS to correctly adjust control surfaces and atmosphere, much like a modern fighter jet. This also included the implementation of auto trimming and various bugs that came out of playtesting. This is a great example. The IFCS retool is directly connected to Maelstrom and engineering. It seems like as they developed Maelstrom and engineering, they realized that they needed to simplify the IFCS system a little bit to make it so that you have more direct control over your ship. Because right now the system really guides a lot of movement, and they seem to have wanted to remove some of that hand-holding to make it more like Elite's assist off mode. Because the tools they were developing with engineering and Maelstrom and probably other things were starting to show that they needed to. Or things like the dreaded blades, flight blades. Those are examples because they wanted to be able to manipulate the IFCS system so a little bit. So, but this is also another example of someone has actually reverse engineered the control surfaces because it was added into the game, just not activated. Someone managed to get that activated, and it is rough. Like, it is not good. But it's their first pass. This is obviously, they're continuing to work on it. You'd still give it a couple of months before it's fully implemented. For quantum travel, the team continued working on implementation of the new mechanics. I've seen people ask this before with quantum travel, because there's lots of problems with quantum travel. Why don't they change or fix quantum travel? Because they're rebuilding quantum travel from the ground up. They already have with Squadron, and they're trying to implement it with Star Citizen with server meshing. They just haven't had that yet. FPS radar and scanning saw additional progress through July, with further improvements allowing the designers to define custom scanned data. AI can now react to being scanned and respond accordingly. Players are also able to identify if enemy NPCs have a radar equipped and could perceive the player's scanning. FPS and radar and scanning is also connected directly to the new ship scanning. So, the ongoing Transport Refactor continued. Transport Refactor is the old transit system. It's completely changed to what's called Transport Refactor, with additional work for dynamic destinations such as instanced hangars. Core gameplay also supported the content teams in delivering the recent resource drive and escort missions. For the upcoming August release, core gameplay worked with the content teams to expose more controls for item rewards. Additional support for the mechanics of an upcoming creature was also provided. Perhaps a Jorrit-based feature? Alas, Jorrit, I knew him, Sam. The team then invested time in addressing critical issues, preventing the usage of drop-off locations that are required for an upcoming set of missions. Various bugs, edge cases, and exploits were also addressed. So, that's thick. It's a lot of stuff. Oh, there's a lot of things coming down the pipe, from scanning to quantum travel to the control surfaces and flight changes, quantum interdiction, item exploration, looting and harvestables, engineering, hacking, crafting, and then there's stuff like freight elevators, respawn, or spawning in, that kind of stuff. A lot of cool stuff that's getting done. All right. Economy, one of my favorites. The economy team is currently analyzing their recent community poll. We would like to thank everyone for the extremely useful feedback that you provided. Your answers will help us better prioritize our focus for the next few months. Hopefully you did respond to that. I tried to promote that as much as possible because it's always good when you see them doing polls and surveys. So they had a survey out. They asked people to do, and I did it, and a couple other people did too in my community. So you did, good job. They also reviewed engagement metrics for the new content introduced this year, with the aim of balancing it in a way that's both fun and fair. As an ongoing effort to make the game more accessible, the team are adding the ammunition used by most FPS weapons to a significant number of shops. Now players should be able to find the ammo of their favorite weapons more easily. However, ammo for those more special weapons will remain exclusive. Does that mean they're adding the custodian ammo to like the pyro shops finally? Mission design. Elliot and the team. The mission design team monitored the resource drive event to see how players interacted with the event, fixed small exploits, and helped engineering fix the mission generation system. They looked at the old locations and were included in Alpha 4.0 refactor, and therefore didn't currently have missions. Once complete, the players will see existing combat missions begin to target some of these locations. Alongside this, the team supported Alpha 4.3 deliverables by creating missions that encourage players to engage with the new content. Wicklow also received new missions and new cosmetics. Balancing tweaks were made, and work began on the accept mission in world system. There we go. I don't know if CIG actually watches any of these. I doubt they do, but if you are a current player, I will also like to extend something, which is there are many aspects of Star Citizen 3.0 that the team at CIG has currently abandoned, especially missions. Now, obviously, there's some more important ones like racing and box delivery missions, just the 1/8 SCU ones, but we also have things like the Black Kite, and even group places like Ghost Hollow don't exist anymore. They don't work. So I'd love for them to revisit these old, I know they're not as sexy to revisit these older ones, but it would be nice to bring that work into 4.0, because right now it sets the precedent that CIG is willing to abandon stuff they've done in the past if it's no longer convenient or cool, and simply work on new content, which would leave a lot of skeletons and useless content, which is unaccessible by most of the player base, just laying about rather than, used. So I think it'd a drag on assets, let alone the work that other people at CIG have done over the years. So, all right, narrative. Last month, the narrative team were deeply involved in getting the upcoming Alpha 4.3 patch ready for release by refining and tweaking the mission text, objectives, UI screens, and branding to deliver the cohesive narrative experience at the new location. The team also had a performance capture session that covered content for several upcoming patches. Narrative have been doing smaller and more frequent capture sessions this year to better match the cadence that needs to be to a release cycle. Additionally, the teams crafted mission text and placeholder scripts for several gameplay scenarios that will be introduced later this year. Because we need to record scripts far enough in advance for the material to be processed and placed in game, we work with design to record additional material to account for any future adjustments that may need to be made as the gameplay is polished. It's a careful balancing act between getting extra coverage and not bogging down sessions with material that will never be used. Also, the team began filling additional details for an upcoming location, honing specifics to help further guide art and design as they populated with locations and gameplay. They also crafted lore for a new ship seller, with the narrative team hopes will be fun added to the verse. Does that mean a narrative ship seller, like a place where you can buy ships, or is that like Kruger or a brand new ship company? It's good. Online technology. Live Tools improved how developers report bugs through the crash handler, making it more reliable. It also supports a wider range of cases to help catch and resolve issues faster than ever. The online services team worked on the Stow Context API and supported missions on both the server and game sides. Tasks for the Blueprint library also began, with API development planned for August. Finally, the team continued their work and discussions on the item imprint version 1. That's interesting. Huh. R&D. In July, the R&D's team focus shifted exclusively to analyzing performance and optimizing engine and game code. This will remain the primary focus for the foreseeable future. Basically, the R&D team is no longer going to be working on anything cool and sexy. They're mostly focusing on making the game run, which is a good sign that CIG is, again, pointed towards a 1.0 release. Does that mean 1.0 is coming out soon? Absolutely not. But CIG is not a nimble speedboat. It is a gigantic tanker, and it takes them a long time to start maneuvering. So a lot of the, especially blue sky shit that they're doing for, right now, the stuff that's being planned out in the deep future, that stuff is being done now for results in 6 to 9 to 12 months away. So keep that in mind. The UI team continued to support an upcoming gameplay event, contributing more interactive and environmental screens than ever before. This followed the usual process of working closely with the game designers to create the layout, finding the look with concept art, and then working with tech design to implement the new game. Devs also started work with the inventory UI that was revealed in Star Citizen Live, earning in the verse. It's a complex UI that covers several things for future gameplay, so we'll be working on it for a while. As they said in that video, it is not coming anytime soon. It requires a lot of different gameplay to be finished, which we likely won't see this year. Cool. So we're probably going to see it next year-ish, but we'll see. Finally, the team created a dashboard and MFD UI for an upcoming vehicle, which has several unique visual features. Lastly, VFX. VFX main focus throughout July was Alpha 4.3, including new locations, bespoke events, vehicles, and weapons. They also began preparing for Alpha 3.1 as related tasks started to arrive. So, what can we hear? All right, so summary. This is a pretty big one. I will say this is the most busy I have seen CIG in July in a long time. The basic gist is AI's team has been working on the stuff they've been working on for several months. Wildlines, improving mission systems. And then we have, animation is starting to work on new animations for, the new template for entering and exiting ships. And also straight up TV shows that will be played in the Star Citizen universe to add more context to the universe. well, as long as like a mini boss. There's multiple mentions of bosses in this one, an AI boss. They mentioned mini boss and animation, so there is some sort of boss fight that they're building that they want to release to the verse. New armors are coming. Ships, we've got 4 unannounced ships plus the Paladin. Meteor was already released. The Medevac and Triage, the Apollo, and the Perseus, along with I think it's going to be on the thumbnail. The Ironclad and the Kraken. All of which are, the Kraken and the Ironclad are still ways out. So we've got 4 unannounced ships, plus the Perseus and the Apollo, which are all probably going to be released this year. So that's 6. Yeah, 6 ships. And let's see how many months we have left, chat. We've got 5 months left and 6 ships in the pipeline. Or no, 7, because we also have the that are probably going to make it. Plus we have the Paladin. So yeah, that's what, 2 or 3 ships for a month, and then 1 ship for every month since then. Is that right? Yeah, lots of ships. Community's doing cool stuff as always. The core gameplay, hacking, engineering, flight controls, crafting, looting, working on being able to spawn to when you log out, you log back in, you were literally where you were before. Quantum travel, radar, transport refactor, new items, a lot of work on freight elevators, a lot of emphasis on freight elevators and how they could, the problems with resource rush, they identified them and are trying to fix those in the future. Economy updates, new mission designs, narrative, new narrative stuff, especially when it comes to like UI and new content. And quite honestly, there's a lot of mention of 4.3, but there's almost as many mentions of 4.3.1. So it sounds like CIG is now firing on all cylinders. Not only are they working on 4.3, which is again to be released this month, but they're working on the things going to be released in September, ostensively 4.3.1. So we might start seeing mentions of 4.3.2 or even 4.3 or even 4.3.3 or 4.4 or maybe even 4.4.1 being mentioned next month. How quickly they are picking up this pace, because a lot of CIG's teams seem to be working faster towards the goals that they have. Overall, it seems like a very productive month in July. As always, I want to hear your thoughts down below on anything we've said. And if you enjoyed this, once again, like the video, subscribe for more content like this, hit the bell icon to be notified when videos release and when to go live on Thursdays at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live, to join these wonderful folks who will lie to you and tell you this is pre-recorded. Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you join us there. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday. Does that mean that group backlogging might be an actual thing soon? It could be, yes. Sorry, I had to wait for the recording to stop. For a few ships for CitizenCon and IAE too, that's true. Imagine, like, they'll do the Apollos at CitizenCon, so that's like 2 ships No, it's all in one. Plus, they'll do a concept ship at CitizenCon. Either at CitizenCon or IE, they'll do a concept. They usually don't, but they've been doing at least like one concept a year. But that's like a concept. It's like, we're going to do a concept and it's going to release in the next 12 months. Like the Paladin. I think the last ship that was like a concept that was longer than the year is the Ironclad. Pretty much everything else has been a year. But yeah, so Dave Nova, the thing is, like what they talked about in the monthly report, and I'll go back to it real quick, was sorry. Core gameplay also improved the spawning flow to allow for another attempt of players spawning directly into their personal hangars instead of their home in the hab. This work also paves the way for allowing players to spawn where they were within reason. Basically, they want to allow players to be able to respawn where they were. So if you are on a planet somewhere in deep space and you log out, but you don't use the bed, when you log back in, you'll be right back where you were on the planet instead of wherever you were. I'm sure there's going to be some restrictions, like if you despawn or if you like log out in like a facility that is there, like a bunker, for instance, you might end up respawning back in and ending up at the location. There'll be some limitations to the system. We'll see. $183 out of 219 ships are flyable, drivable. Jeeves, I remember, was nowhere near that few left. A lot of those ships are also like the Javelin, which, you know, is gonna take a while. The Kraken, which is being worked on. The Orion, which needs the Arastra, but it's, you know, in that pathway. Perseus, Galaxy, Arastra, Orion. And then other things like the G12 and the Ranger, which are basically like, they don't want to work on them because they haven't had a time to actually fix ground vehicles. So Pioneer is actively being worked on as well. Vulcan needs drones, but drones are being developed with base building. Also, it's connecting to engineering and to Maelstrom. So fix ground vehicles. Well, they just don't fucking work properly. They work, do weird things. And like the Crucible is waiting for repair, which requires Maelstrom. But the Endeavor is never coming out. As much as I am the Colthi of the Endeavor, that ship is a distant pipe dream. There's a couple of those ships, like the Genesis, the Endeavor. Let's see what some other good examples of that is. The Javelin. Those are distant pipe dreams. Those are ships that we're not going to see for several post 1.0. BMM, yeah. I will tell you this. The only time that Velocity Raptor will be happy with Star Citizen is if the Liberator is out. Isn't the Jav modeled out in Squadron 42? The exterior is. Yes, there are elements of the interior which are also modeled. But do you really think CIG has gone through and modeled the entire interior of the Javelin? Or is it more likely that they've only modeled the places that they know you were going to go to in Squadron 42? And then of those places, they have mostly been putting down just specific bespoke assets which are designed for that specific scene in Star Citizen or in Squadron 42 that aren't going to transfer over to Squadron or from Squadron. Bespoke. Listen, y'all shit on Beam Citizen, but Beam Citizen is fine. Beam Citizen is the only way Star Citizen is made. I find that the Star Citizen community can often get so wrapped up in ideas that just fundamentally don't work and have never worked in gaming, that they think, oh, this will be cool. And it's like, yeah, 4 people will use it. It is not worth the time or effort to do it. That being said, this is also CIG. Eventually, they'll probably do it because they're crazy. But with the current lack of resources they have, because they're trying to get like fundamental shit done, you know? I need research beams, lore beams. Just beam that shit into my face. Looks like Dune Awakening. The only thing people hate is the PvP stuff. Dune Awakening is beam awakening. Do you actually pull out a hammer and build your base? No. You use a beam. New idea beam and learning beam. Elevator beam. It's like, I understand the desire for realism, but at the end of the day, it's a game. Like, even the most intensive simulator games are still games. Arma is not a one-to-one simulator of real life. And the parts that are some of the most jank of Arma are where it gets more real. And as it gets more real, it becomes a lot more unfun. And usually, modders mod that shit out or mod in things that are better. I think it's the Acre medical system. It might be the Ace medical system in Arma. That adds realism. It doesn't actually add realism. It just requires you to analyze what's wrong, once you figure out what's wrong, then you need to have the right tools to be able to heal said things. And that's what Star Citizen already does. They just need to make it a little bit more deep and add a little bit more nuance to it, and it's basically the same thing. And everyone praises that system for being realistic. The cargo elevator problem is just the person elevator problem over again. Please let it just be a spawn closet. It is a spawn closet, but the animation isn't what's fucking up the process. It's the spawn closet itself. If it just instantly opened in with some sound effects, it would still have the same problems. The animation itself isn't causing the issues. I also don't think that the elevator system was flawed because it was physicalized. I think it was flawed for a lot of different reasons. I think the CG even talked about this, is that like, if you just made it a teleporter, it would still need to teleport you between, possibly between grids, possibly between like servers. So you would still have the same problem if it was just a teleport. It's not that the problem isn't the actual animations, it's due to the process of teleporting you across those grids. Oh, sorry, my nose is super itchy today. It's because I trimmed my nail. Tube systems like Futurama would have better elevators than trams. Would still have the same problem. because it's about where the transferring is. It's not necessarily the thing itself. Benoit did say elevators need a complete rewrite, and we would be stuck with duct tape for now. Yeah, and that was in the latest monthly report. They mentioned it here. That's called the transport system. I don't know if the YouTube chat is just dead. I am watching YouTube, so. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. No, unfortunately. They talked about CR trying to make the elevators real, working in game, and they had to talk them down to get what we got now. I'm 100% sure the cargo elevators are just that again. The cargo elevators were never a physicalized transport system. I don't think they were ever even conceived as that. They're likely a compromise to make it work, but again, the problem with the cargo elevators is not the animation. It's how it teleports in and out things. I don't care what the system CIG uses. I care that they work. Currently, they don't after 15 years and several years. That, again, 2012 to 2016. 15 years? 14 years. You don't remember grinding your feet into Eddie Murphy's couch then? I have died, yes. Thank you, Adam. But I mean, that's the problem, Ibris, is that it's one thing to be like, I just want it to work, and I get it. It's another thing to be like, we need X, Y, or Z. This would have been no problem if CIG did X, Y, or Z. And it's like, it would have still been. It's just diagnosing the problem. What's one thing you want to implement into the game if you could? Reputation system. No one could do, it could be where CIG is with less problems. Yeah, but CIG could have done better. It's an issue of focus. Stop making stuff we don't want and fix the things we do. Define what we don't want, since you're speaking for the entire community, Saint. I mean, I've said this many times, but it's important to always reiterate. Star Citizen is not a viable product. Star Citizen will never be a viable product. Star Citizen is never going to be seen as a round like a huge success, even if it does well. Because CIG invested a lot of money and time into this project. And they'll never reach a point where they've paid off and had a huge bonus. They're not gonna be a situation where they, you know, their profits drastically outpace their costs, their like eternal costs or their historical costs, simply because that's not what Star Citizen was intended to do. Basically, no company outside of CIG would have ever made Star Citizen. It's just too expensive to make. It takes too much time and does not give enough return on investment. See, Chris and company never did it for the money. It's about their own stupid, crazy ideas of what they did. There seems to be a lot of software developers in chat tonight. There are actually a lot of folks who watch and who play Star Citizen who are software developers, but yeah, it's a passion project, not viable problem. Basically, as long as CIG makes enough money to continue to fund the project, they'll continue to do it. People who want a claw on their claimer don't seem to understand how space works. One push the claw towards the scraps, and they're scattering. Seems obvious as hell, but gamers. Yeah, I mean, using a narrow or wide beam tractor beam, on the other hand, will keep your scraps in place. Yeah. Broheim says they're actually a dev. I won't pretend I have any idea what's going on at CIG, though. That's the thing. I, by the luck of what I do and who I know, I've managed to peek into how CIG works to a degree. And I've had many CIG developers say, you're more often right than you realize. How you talk about what's going on at CIG and what's going on. It's like, you're more right than you are wrong most of the time. And often are hitting on exactly what we're talking about, even if I hadn't asked them what they're talking about. So I know that I'm in the ballpark of what's going on. But I myself am not a developer. I'm just a hobbyist, I guess you could say. I love exploring and reading into how games are made, especially games I've really liked, like Titanfall 2, the Halo series, Mass Effect, so on and so forth. I've done a lot of research into those games' development, watching, vid docs and documentaries into them, reading in articles from people which I've watched GDC conferences from the developers who've made them and that kind of stuff. It's all cool stuff. So naturally, I've been drawn to development, especially CIG famously likes to say they're making the sausage. So, and as Broheim will explain, and anyone who's in software development, especially gaming development, will tell you, absolutely, there is no fucking blueprint. There are general guidelines and what to do, but every company runs their company differently in terms of how to make software. There is no right way or wrong. Well, there's a wrong way, but there's no right way of making software. So each company will be structured differently. They'll have different patterns. They might use tools or techniques which are proven, like I would say sprint, but that's not there's an actual term for it. I can't remember the name of it, but they use sprints and like legends and heroics or whatever. Agile, thank you. Epics, yeah. This year's gone better than I expected, to be honest. Though they were going to get some shitty bare bones narrative content full of data pads, they've stepped up that significantly. I love the mission giver stuff, the audio drives. Now this like drive to do like video content. I love it. Other teams have moved faster and made their dream game. Look at Mind's Eye. Was Mind's Eye anyone's dream? The question we're bumping up against is this the devs' game or our game? I say it's ours. It's never been ours. It's always been CHE's. The Onyx facilities have been the most fun to content I've played since since I was a wide-eyed day one backer. Stracker, I will say this: when I played the limited amount of time I played the Onyx facilities, it is like 100% based off of CIG's experience making Squadron. This is them taking their Squadron experience and trying to see if it can work in Star Citizen. So I'm not saying it's a one-to-one. Obviously, nothing's gonna be a one-to-one between a single-player narrative-focused game and an MMO. But if you like Onyx, it feels like very much Squadron Blueprint mission. And I'm okay with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, for those of you who like Onyx, that is a good indication you'll like Squadron. I started learning coding last year and made me gave me new respect for Star Citizen even with bugs. It's also important to know if, as somebody who has limited coding experience, myself, beginner coding and the stuff that game devs use is completely different. Like, not absolutely everything in Star Citizen is customs coded, right? They're taking parts of an engine and things that other people are using, like elements are, and sticking them together. So, yeah, it's not black magic. But it is unusual because the focus has been on basically what can we do to keep us afloat, not how much money can we make. Could we make all of the money all of the time? Despite what people tend to think about CIG. If they wanted to do that, they would have. And they would have been making profits of like hundreds of millions of dollars. If that was the focus. They could have easily done it. Selling a Bengal, you know, but they just didn't. This quote, also team began filling additional details for an upcoming location, honing specifics to help further guide art and design as they populate with locations in the game. Next, yeah, I think, was that this month? If that was this month, almost certainly, they've been talking about that shit for months. The same sort of language, and yeah, it's always, I've been saying Nyx. That's definitely Nyx. Your bit on coding reminded me of some ordinary gamers drama. I don't know, what did Mudahar do? I'm still reading stuff like that. They're gonna be December 31st, 11 p.m. Nyx and CitizenCon demo will be in Castra. No, I don't think we're gonna get that knowledge. But I do think we'll get a demo for Nyx before the end of the year. I'm not going to take the bet because I have no way of getting $100 for that. I appreciate the enthusiasm, though, knowledge. That's for sure. I think we're going to see... I think Nyx is a lot further along than we think. Because CIG has been somewhat quiet about it. But also, it's clear that they're going to do something fancy with CitizenCon Direct. So... I would not be surprised if there's an update on Nyx in CitizenCon Direct, even if it's not, like, huge. His claims on being an engineer may be illegal. I don't think it's illegal. I can say I'm the king of fucking England. Doesn't mean that it's just because it's a lie doesn't mean it's illegal. You talking about the craziest stuff at the bottom of the Onyx facilities yet? No, because I don't want to like break that up. I want to do that part live. I just was talking about the audio files with Dr. Jorrit. But yeah, there's some control level craziness at the bottom of the Onyx facilities. It is some SCP shit. Oh yes, fucking England. Much better than regular England, of course. Jacaro, Iris, chill out. It's not worth it. Getting mad over over people talking about video games. I need to remake my face to look like Gordon Freeman and roll in with lore on that expedition, rocking the aerial hazmat suit. I think it may be a CitizenCon release, but we know how CIGs. I wouldn't be surprised if CIG planned that for like 6 months ago, but I'm sure that a lot of that stuff went out the window. Because fundamentally, Nyx isn't really that complicated. But I do think that Nyx is bottlenecked by CIG's finances, because they probably don't want to release Nyx until they can guarantee to get 1,000 players in a server or in a shard with 6 servers. And the only way they're doing that is if they have dynamic meshing in. Now they have been working on meshing. It is mentioned in the June and the May month reports, but it was not mentioned in July. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not being worked on. They sometimes just don't get updates from teams. So we'll probably get an update on that at CitizenCon. We may even get an update on that in the next Star Citizen Live we're going to have with Benoit. So, and we still haven't seen tech tests for DSM. I don't know if they'll do tech tests, but I definitely think it'll end up in a EPTU. To be honest, even if they get a stable server meshing with 750 players, I'd accept Nyx at this point. It's not a matter of you. It's a matter of CIG. CIG is paying a fuck ton of money for 10 servers for 600 players. So if they can get 1,000 players with 10 servers with dynamic meshing, they would be golden. If they can get less servers than 10 and more people, then they're even better. Because up until this year, they've had to pay for a server per 100 players. Now they're paying for, the average is a server for like 50 players. Because it's like 600 max people with 10 servers. So it's not exactly 50, but it's less than 100. So it's now more expensive to run server meshing than it did to not do server meshing. So they need to change that dynamic so that the amount of players is at least the same per server on average as it would. So they have to keep, 10 servers running, but they can guarantee that each shard with 10 servers has 1,000 people. That gives them a nice even balance without losing performance. And the only way to do that is dynamic. Wasn't the tech EPTU supposed to be a major part of the year stability loop? That, in defense of CIG and Chris, I don't think they ever said it was going to be a huge part of it. That was just what they were going to do going forward if they wanted to introduce stuff. The only time they even mentioned a tech preview stuff was in June, and they said they wanted to get it done for July. And they said at the beginning of June, they said they wanted to do it for June, and then they said, something came up and we'll do it in a month. And we all joked, we'll see you in August. And it's August. So CIG massively overestimated what they were doing, but they do seem to be, at least in July, wrapping that up. I'm guessing they want to get 4.3 out because they want to get 4.3 out and then jump immediately to tech preview. That is, my belief is why they're rushing 4.3, is because they want to get to tech preview so that they can have a tech preview before 4.3.1. And in 4.2.1, there are Pyro DGS for 6 players. And it's great use of money. Yeah. Imagine how much EA is paying right now for Battlefield tests, which are free. Yeah. They're getting a lot of data, though, which is invaluable because they can use that data to figure out what they need to do for launch. Because they ain't fixing shit between now and October when that thing releases. It's 2 months? No. This is a stability test. And a playability test. And marketing. It's marketing. I have not made one yet. I will be doing some this week and next week. I just don't have a lot of time because I'm back to school, so I don't have as much time as I had before. But I do need to gather players together. So I may talk with people offline to try to get access to an Idris. What I really need is I need access to an Idris, I need a gladiator, and I need to figure out how to film properly. To get different shots and stuff like that. Gladiator. My goal is to get this trailer done. I've got the music picked out for it. I've had one for a while for this. I just need to like map it out. What I wanted to do was go to Star System Machinima Makers and see if they can help me out with it, but I know they've got their own projects and stuff like that. This is like a 30-second to a minute trailer. We're talking like a commercial. So. Oh wait, I forgot to turn on the words.
Lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Undoing Slayer has subscribed.
Thank you, Undoing Slayer, for that Twitch Prime subscription. You're very important, popular, very precipice of any pedestrian. This is your fault. The return drinking. 1,000 years and check y'all. 1,000 years. I'm gonna pull up the music so you all can hear it one more time. The joke, the thing is that I actually literally heard this music like a year ago, and I was like, if CIG ever does a Gladiator trailer or Gladiator commercial, this would be fucking perfect for it. It's actually used for some YouTuber uses it as well, but it's one of those very, I wouldn't say cheap because they're pretty good, but they're like trailer music creators effectively. I'm going to find out where it is first. Okay, this is where it starts. Again, please listen to it. If you're watching this after the fact, it'll be muted, but you know, here you go. This is it. It's about, I would say, a minute and 30 minutes, a minute and 30 seconds sort of thing. So. Gladiator. This is specifically the Mono Kyo remix. Yeah, it's about a minute 23 seconds. I have the idea in my head. I just have to like pace it out. The idea being is that during that initial like build up is a recreation of the Star Citizen Squadron 42 introduction, where like you have a slow motion of a pilot walking towards the Gladiator. And you do some glory shots of the Gladiator, having them getting into the Gladiator, and then when it reaches the peak, when you start, you know, it says I have a reason to fight like really high, then you pitch up, see the pilot's face, and then it takes off of the Idris. Then the last like 45 seconds or so is just it doing an attack run on a hammerhead while blowing up other ships, like, you know, Gladiator or Cutlass is coming in. You see it fighting off with its weapons and stuff like that. That's the part that I don't know how to do. I am not good with action scenes and stuff like that, so it'd be hard to see. Yes, yeah, so Zaid Wolf Gladiator. I'll put the link in chat. So. And this funny thing is that Zaid Wolf is not like a super big artist, so you could probably purchase the rights for this video. CIG could purchase the rights for this audio and remake this idea that I have when we actually produce it for it. Glory shots in your Gladiator shit. Yeah, the idea. You can get one of those shots of the helmets with the shows the mouth and have the pilot smile. Well, I was going to use the UEE helmet, and I was going to probably have the get into the seat and then a close up of their face going down and then just pulling back up, just staring into the camera, and then. If I had CIG's tools, I know how to do it. But it's harder to do, especially the action shots, because you have to kind of do sweeping camera angles for combat and stuff like that, which is hard to master for that. I can talk with Wookiee about it and see if we can do it, but well, anything if I could talk to Nate about it, and some of the other machine makers. I've resisted doing it because I need people who were also behind the movement of getting Gladiator Best in Show, and I don't know who would be. But I know this sort of thing because CIG never did a Gladiator commercial. Doing a proper Gladiator commercial might actually get people hyped about it. And that music, like I said, is like perfectly made for the Gladiator. I like Zaid Wolf. I like Zaid Wolf's other ones. Let me see, what are his other songs that I remember. Next Level's pretty good. Rule the World is one of my favorites of his. That energy is, I love that energy. It's one of my workout songs. There's a song That Energy is great. Your Gladiator video really made me fall in love with the ship. It's the history, the history, the potential CIG Gib, exactly. But like that's what made me, my research into that made me respect it a lot more. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized this ship could be the perfect ground attack complement to the Hornet. Basically, the Hornet is good for combat, but it's not great for attacking things other than other fighters. The Gladiator just takes all of the weaknesses of the Hornet and then like complements them. So torpedoes, potential bomb racks, you know, decent guns, lots of missiles if you need to. It's got a lot of flexibility. So, yeah. If you need a pilot, I'm game. It's more that I need to just get these people together, and I need to focus on the how to get good combat shots. Because the idea that someone floated was use other best in show. Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome everyone from TV Liquid Stream. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astro Pub. Your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How you doing? Ready for it?
Gladiator Beston just gifted 5 subs.
Thank you for getting 5 subs there, Gladiator. Best in show. We've got very important poppers, very impressive pistols, very neat pedestrians. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Just doing Onyx facilities. Yeah, we weren't talking about Onyx facilities. We were talking about specifically Dr. Jorrit and his relationship with the Onyx facilities. Very disturbing. So we were just kind of going over Dr. Jorritt's work on the Second Life Initiative in the Lazarus facility, and then his connections with the older facilities in Onyx, and his experimentation with regen, and his obsession with the Vanduul. Very cool. All this stuff is in the audio files, which you can find in Stormbreaker and now in the Onyx facility. And for those of you who don't know, at the end of the Onyx facility, you get a lot of context for the messed up shit he does. It also leaves it open for the future of what happened to the experiments that Dr. Jorrit did. Looking forward to everyone burning out on Onyx facilities for the patch releases to PTU. Well, there's enough people who don't do PTU who will do when it comes out. But everyone will burn out for about a week. Also, 4.3 is phase 1 of the Onyx ASD stuff. They're going to add more to it in the future, yeah. Looks like Pipeline data mined the Harriman video already. Yeah, no, I'll pull that up again because I actually have access to that one. And I keep saying CIG needs to just post these damn things on fucking social media.
This is James Harriman with another SSN Newsflash. Allegations have been raised against famed weapon manufacturer Associated Science and Development after evidence surfaced regarding a research facility that was experimenting on irradiated Valakar young under the direction of Dr. Logan Jorrit. Now, while not technically illegal due to the lab's location in Pyro, animal rights groups have lobbied for an investigation to be launched into ASD's research practices in all of their facilities to make sure they're operating within accepted parameters. A company representative claims that they will cooperate with any investigation, but stressed that Addison's Second Life initiative provides a very wide umbrella for current scientific endeavors, especially ones regarding the regen crisis. We're out of time. We'll see you on the next Newsflash.
Love it. So good. Now we just gotta find the other videos that they used. I have all the free time in the ships. Let me know if you need help creating the video. I'll probably do it on Saturday and Sunday, probably Sunday morning. So I'll put a call out on my Discord if you're on Discord. Blink Tech isn't in yet. No, I don't think Jared blinked during that recording session. It was like a minute. Or he blinked when they cut to the stock footage. That's really good. Like, that mocap was amazing, and it captures exactly what he is. And it seems like they're just getting better at taking those quick shots and turning them into usable, like, stuff. I'm telling you, they based the video mocap on Jared, and he literally didn't blink. Yeah, the idea is that with the gladiator video or commercial is to have it blowing up other best in show ships. So like the Cutlass, Redeemer. I don't know, probably not the Redeemer. That's a little out of there. Was there like fighters that won best in show, like the F8, you know? And then its attack run is to torpedo a hammerhead. So to have a torpedo come in and hit a hammerhead and have it explode, with it exploding and then the gladiator flying through the explosion. All right, chat. 3 hours and 30 minutes, 10:45. I got to get up early tomorrow to get to work because I got to do a lot of work. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. I will be back tomorrow. I had to talk with Loken about what we're going to do. Oh, shit. I'm not going to be with Loken tomorrow because I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. Because I'm going to be on the Inforunners podcast. So I'm going to be on podcast, the live show on Inforunner. So we'll be on the live Inforunner show because I'm covering for Algrid. So I'll be there at 6 p.m. Eastern. So you'll see me there. So if you want to see me, I won't be streaming tomorrow. I'll be streaming then. I have to let Loken know about that too, because I forgot about that. And then I'll be back on Saturday. Saturday we've got an interesting topic. This one was suggested by Radar Ranger, who wanted to do a topic on player-generated content in Star Citizen. So we're going to have Night Cobb and Radar Ranger on to talk about that. And then Sunday, we're going to be doing our League expeditions. I don't know exactly what that might look like, but also probably I'll try to do some footage and stuff like that. And then on Monday, I'm going to be doing a smaller League expedition, specifically to go into the Onyx facilities and try to capture some stuff. That'll probably be on the Astro Historian YouTube, not the Astro Pub. So it'll be a little different there. But it'll also be here on live on Twitch. So covering floor Algrid, yes. Covering for him because he's not going to be available. So VOD time. There will be spoilers in the VOD, Don Caller, but I make sure to make it very clear when the spoilers are happening. I will be, and then yeah, so there will be definitely a video for the complete history of the Hurston family, which will be up this weekend. I don't know, can't tell you exactly when, but it'll be sometime. And then, yeah, I'm going to try to record that Gladiator video for Best in Show stuff. I don't know when that will be done, is the problem. I'm going to try to record it and then edit it together. Edit it together by next week. But unfortunately, the first round ends on the 9th, I want to say. Oh, it's like the 12th is when it ends. So I don't know if I'll get it out by the 12th, but yeah, complete history of the Hurstons. It's an hour-long video. My goal is to have a new lore video out every 2 weeks. So if things go right, then I will also have another video. I'll have the complete history of Star Citizen lore in 2 weeks for everybody else, but it'll be out for Patreons early. But I also hope to get another video done on the politics of the UEE. So like the different political factions, the rights and responsibilities of UEE citizens, the sort of like the like political life in the UEE to give some context and stuff like that. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday